All right, we're live on. Wait a minute, error occurred. Where did the error occur? Error occurred for me. Yeah, go live. Maybe I'm live. I'm not sure. It says I'm live, but then it says an error occurred somewhere. So I'm going to remove that screen for a second. See if it is up and working. Wait a moment, then try again. Maybe it's YouTube. Is that YouTube? So it looks like we're live on Rumble. We're not live on X. Okay, so then maybe there's some issues going on with X right now. Maybe you're not allowed to go live on X right now. You can't get in? Oh, I am on. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate that. So it must just be X, which I remember when they did DeSantis. A lot of people can't get into the spaces. Yeah, I can't. I'm looking at the spaces right now to see if it's even started yet. Do you guys know if it started yet? I can't see that it started anywhere. I'm wondering if this is going to kind of break X. I'm going to refresh the browser again. Let's see. It showed. Oh, so it did show that Trump was talking, but people can't get into it. So what I'm seeing is, I see just a purple line and a bunch of people saying that it's not working. Anyone else not able to listen? Yeah, it says unavailable, not working. Says the Gateway Pundit. A bunch of people says not working. I'm gonna see if I can find somebody sharing it on. It is. I think you're right. I think X might have crashed. So I guess technically we're streaming the live crashing of X. But there are a couple people that are in there. It looks like Glenn Beck says he's in there. Glenn Beck says he planned his whole day around this and he doesn't want to miss a word. So at least we can see that commentary. I'm going to try YouTube and then Rumble to see if we can catch anybody who's streaming it. No, not that. I don't want to go to Timcast streaming. That's the last thing I want to do. Maybe this one will work. No, they're not in either. Usually, let's see, Musk, Trump, live. I wonder if he is going to invite Kamala on. What's up, JC? That's what they should do. They should invite Kamala on and see who crashes it harder. JC, are you able to access the stream? The X spaces, I mean? Because I can't seem to find even Laura Loomer, even the great Laura Loomer, as they call her, can't even get on the spaces. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anybody that can get on. It's probably an amazing conversation going on right now that everybody's missing. Chief Nerds. Oh, wait, no, Chief Nerd's not even in. Oh, that's interesting. All right, I'm going to try this again. There seems to be a bunch of people trying to stream it. I don't think anybody's doing it successfully. Let's try Rumble. Nope. Nobody on Rumble. So somebody is on the space, but there's nobody talking. It's not working right now. So, all right. Well, I'm going to keep an eye on it, and I anticipated that this might happen. So I have a couple stories I didn't get to from last week that I thought were more or less interesting. Why isn't Elon and Trump spaces working? I don't know. I can't answer that. I'm reading through my Twitter feed trying to see anybody there. But while we wait on this, did you guys know that Mark Zuckerberg's dad was a dentist? I didn't know that. Many people see Mark Zuckerberg as a robot. If his father is also a robot like him, he would seemingly be a robo-dentist. But if we give him, the benefit of the doubt that he's human, then maybe it will come as no surprise to you that what is apparently the first ever robo-dentist that has operated on a person inside their mouth with a drill and everything without the assistance of a human technician is being funded by Mark Zuckerberg's dentist father. It's a true story. Apparently, this robo-dentist can complete a procedure 8 times faster than a human can complete a procedure. And the way that it works is they have you go in. So you don't have to go to a bunch of appointments. This isn't, the public can't use this yet. It's still in testing phases, but this is what they say anyway. If anybody sees the stream is working, let me know in the chats, because I have it on here and it's not working for me yet. And I'm just going to go through a couple stories while we wait, and hopefully they'll get it up and going. The way that it works is they have this robo-dentist who, the first part, they do have the help of an assistant, a human assistant. They scan the inside of your mouth. It does like a 3D model of the inside of your mouth, and they like make a 3D model of your mouth. And then the robo-dentist practices on the 3D model, and then you come in and it just zips through it. 15 minutes, you're in and out. What would have taken 2 to 3 visits sometimes. Now, I don't know if I'd be willing to try something like that. I know the benefit of not having to go to multiple dentist appointments or feeling like you have to talk to the dentist might be a improvement. But what happens when a hacker hacks in to your robo-dentist appointment and all of a sudden is holding you hostage with this drill in your mouth? I'm going to show you a picture of it. Robo-dentist. New stream. Let me check the stream again real quick. Wow, you can already see the media reporting on this massive failure. So the link, which still says details not available, has 14.6 million views. Some people can hear the music. I can't even hear the music. Listen anonymously, it'll let you in. It's not letting me in at all. I don't know. I hope there wasn't any important announcements that were made at the very beginning. Nope, not getting in for me. All right. Yeah, if anybody is in, send me a thing, and maybe I can send you an invite, and we can bring you in, and then we can share your screen if you're cool with that. If anybody has it working, send me a thing, and I'll hit you up on X or something with an invite link, and then we can bring it in through anybody who's able to get in there. This Spaces will go down in history as the glitchiest Spaces of all time. But of course, Trump is going to spin that. We broke X. We broke the most popular platform. We broke it. Kamala, you could have gotten into it in a Spaces with Kamala. Easy. There would have been plenty of room. It is interesting counter narrative with all the talk of how big Kamala's crowd sizes are, which I don't believe any of that is authentic, personally. Didn't Musk do a previous thing which failed? Yeah, he did, JB. He did one with DeSantis maybe 9 months ago or something like that. That I think it eventually worked, but it was very, very glitchy. I don't think I was able to get into it. Now my whole entire screen just went out, I think. You guys can still see me though, right? Yeah. It's like one time every show I have this freaking screen glitch. It says if you can't get in, just keep refreshing. All right, I'm going to just keep refreshing. Don't you feel like an ant in some sort of experiment? You just keep refreshing? Or like you're trying to reset a Nintendo Just unplug it and plug it back in and unplug it and plug it back in and blow on the cartridge and blow and beat on it and unplug it and plug it back in. I ain't getting nothing here. It's a little disappointing. I was hoping to. We broke the internet, says Muppet Pimpin'. You know, Twitter names are very humorous sometimes. Everybody has their own unique twist on it. A lot of people have liberty in their name. It's definitely a common use, at least in the X circles that I'm in. Let me see. Yeah, so some people are in this thing, and there's just waiting music. So it hasn't even started yet. Which I didn't think it would start, because Trump always starts things a little late. I think it's the rules of power thing. All right. Details still not available. All right, I'm going to show you the robo-dentist. See what you guys got. Anybody here on Rockfin? You guys got anybody in over here? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, and they won't let me stream to X. Robo-dentist news. Yeah, let's check this out. It will let me show you this. So anybody who's just joined, we're still waiting. The Spaces apparently hasn't started yet. Some people who are in there say that the waiting music is there. Oh, Ian's back. Ian, you haven't missed anything.
Well, the Iranians were hacking into my computer.
Yeah, of course. It's happened to me
So
a
I had
lot.
to fight them out. Zach gave me some pointers on how to...
Oh, you talked to Zach. Zach helped you fight. Oh, Zach from Liberty Libations helped you fight off the... Yeah, he's our cyber protection.
Yeah. So, you know,
so
I did
you've missed nothing, because the Iranians apparently got the Spaces as well. And I can't even stream this to X right now.
Well, Spaces says notorious for crashing, isn't it?
It did with DeSantis came on. So what I was going to do in the meantime is I was telling everybody about the story I didn't get to last week. You probably didn't know that Mark Zuckerberg's dad was a dentist.
Oh no, I grew up next to the Zuckerbergs.
Oh,
yeah,
really? So you did know? So that he's been your family dentist for a very long time.
Dr.
Zuckerberg, of course.
Family dentist.
Yeah, has
for
great
a while.
rapport with patients, I'm sure.
He does, just like his son. You can just the apple didn't fall too far.
Right. His son's probably there at every appointment, just observing, gathering data.
Right. Yeah. Well, he was a very quiet kid.
His dad is funding what has been the first fully operational robo-dentist.
That's not gonna cause any deaths.
He has the first fully operational robo-son. So
that's gonna behead someone.
He's got. Right, so I'm just going to show you. That's disgusting kind of image there inside. But,
you know, Brad, I got to be honest. Lately, I've been thinking, how long do I want to live? I mean, what does the future really promising? Jeez, what a terrible job. No wonder it's the highest suicide rate of any profession.
I know. Now it's jobs being taken. I don't know if that's the actual. But the dentist completes the entire procedure on a live human. It's better than a dead human. Yeah. Starts off alive anyway, without any supervision. So there it is right there. That's the robo-dentist.
That's the robo-dentist? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And there's the needle right there. And I was wondering...
out of his fucking mind.
What happens when, when Iran hacks a robo-dentist, and all of a sudden your mouth is being held hostage.
Yeah, fuck that. No fucking way, man. This is going too far. There are some things we need people for. Dentistry, one of those things.
Yeah. They're selling it as you can do in what usually takes 3
Go back to that top image. Go back to that top image of the
Hey, Sam, for those who just came in, we're still waiting on the Spaces to work. If anybody has it working, let me know in the chat.
Go back up to the guy's head with that thing in his head.
That right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it right there.
That. They got to never show that image to any potential patients.
Right. I mean, that guy is trapped right now.
Do you remember what an armatron was?
Oh
man, it was this little robot arm with a claw, and you had 2 joysticks. So you could move it around and pick your toys up and
it looks like that. Yeah,
it looked just like
it's trying to pick out cavities, just like an armatron.
Trying to pick out cavities.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be willing to. When you check in on X again. So I was talking before you got on. Like, Trump's going to be the spin where it's like, we broke spaces. Kamala could never break spaces. The crowd we had on spaces was the biggest ever. Well, the news will be saying that these two men, these two rich men,
incompetent Elon Musk couldn't even get it together to have an interview with.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see.
I loved the whole. Let's just go ahead and let Kamala say she came up with the no tax on tips idea.
They were talking about that today on CNN. That was funny. They were like, the Trump team is accusing Kamala of stealing the no tax on tip thing, but then they never
was it
actually.
their idea to begin with? That's what they're gonna say.
They never went further with it.
Oh my God, I can't. It's just,
look at this thing here.
That's a practice dummy.
This looks like on the right, this child robot being used to train dentists. Eerily lifelike. That's not eerily lifelike to anybody who knows what humans look like.
What if it bites down on your finger or starts to cry for its mommy?
Then that would.
Ow, doctor! Ow, that hurts!
I would take it to the robot dentist and say, your child bit my finger.
Do you think any of those babies, those robot kids, get molested by the other robots?
Probably. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they definitely get molested by probably some of the people that create them.
Yeah.
Look at the rest of this sentence. The lifelike bot can roll its eyes and thrash around in a chair just like a real patient. That's what you really want.
That's what I do. That's what I do every time I go to the dentist.
Yeah.
I
wonder what else it could thrash around when you're trying to do to it. These fucking creeps.
You know, I was getting some real quick. I was getting some dentistry work done years ago, and I'm in the dentist chair, and it was going to take a while. And she goes, "Do you want to watch a movie?" I said, "Yeah, I'll watch a movie." She shows me the DVD she has. Yeah, she shows me the DVD she has.
It's a horror movie.
I see Misery on there, and so I go, I like Misery. That's a good movie. That was one of the better Stephen King movie translations. So I throw that on. She's getting into the heavy drilling, like right as he's getting James Caan is getting his legs hobbled, right?
Yeah.
And she looks back at the TV because he's screaming in pain. All right, cat. I'm wrestling a cat at my feet here. He's screaming in pain, and she looks at the TV and looks back at me. And she goes, "Why'd you pick this movie?" And I said, "Why do you have it here?"
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Okay, somebody's in that I follow. I'm gonna ask
Fred,
her.
everybody.
What's up? Fred? You said Fred?
Fred. Yeah, this is Fred. This is the one I saved from a ditch. He was 4 weeks old. Little Fred. Stop biting my feet.
How'd you know that Fred was 4 weeks old?
I could tell by his penis size.
Okay. It's like a tree.
Yeah,
not
I
the
know.
size. It's got the circles.
I am real good with cats. Like I'm the kind of guy that's not afraid to get into a cage with like a big tiger because I know.
You have a few tigers, do you not?
I do. I have a couple tigers in my backyard.
Yeah.
And I know how to talk to them with hand gestures, eye contact.
Yeah, I mean that's a skill that not a lot of people have. You're like Siegfried and Roy, or
I'm like Gunther. I'm like Gunther. Remember Gunther the lion tamer from Ringling Brothers?
Yeah, right.
I'm more like Gunther.
Okay. All right. I found somebody who says they're in that I'm going to see if they can come on and share their screen with us. I don't know if they'll be willing to, but Tiger Blood. Yeah, that's your nickname. That was your nickname in high school. Is Tiger Blood.
That was Ian. Yeah, Ian Tiger Blood Covell. Yeah.
All right. Let's try this again.
Yeah, my cat's.
Elon says it was a DD. Did he really say that?
What?
Is that true, Bad Christian? That that Elon said that it was a DDoS attack?
Of course it was.
Okay, so she says it's working.
I got a question. I'm not really. I don't know much about computers these days, but it seems like these DDoS attacks have happened far too frequently for smart people, to not have figured out a way to stop them. We got to get Zach on about this.
That's the thing about going fully digital is I don't think there's ever going to be.
We're just going to have to accept that that's a reality, that people can just like spam our website and knock it down.
I think that is what we're supposed to accept, unless it's a voting machine in Fulton County. Then it's fully protected and unhackable.
Well, and they've got to come up with like a name for it. You've got to call it something, not DDoS attack. Just call it something. You know.
Yeah, nobody knows
I know
what
that
means.
stands for something fancy. I don't know what it stands for. Something, probably operating something.
Yeah. Yeah. Defense or something.
It's a couple big
All
old
right.
double D's, double DOS, baby.
Cyber elbow off the top rope is what Nate says. Yeah, they got cyber elbowed off the top rope.
Yeah. Yeah. How much?
So Musk says we tested the system with 8 million concurrent listeners earlier today, and there appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X. Working on shutting it down. Worst case, we will proceed with a smaller number of live listeners and post conversation later. Okay, this was 6 minutes ago, so I'm guessing they haven't started yet. I did find somebody who's in listening to elevator music. I'm going to see if
Yeah, you'd hate to think that
they will join
anyone
us.
working in the Biden administration would be behind such a thing.
No, I mean, it's probably Joe Biden himself. I heard he's a brilliant hacker.
Well, that's why. So he's actually hooked into a computer at all time. He doesn't have the brain power that he used to. So
No.
what we're getting, he's most of Joe Biden's on a mainframe. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Right. But what we're getting, he's in two places at once. You understand what I'm saying?
Always.
Right. And so Joe Biden is on the internet and with us all the time.
All
He's
the
just
time.
not as good at juggling it anymore.
He used to be great at it. We
He
didn't
used to
even
be
know.
real
It's
good at juggling it, but
Dis-
now
distributed denial of service attack. A type of cyber attack. An attacker overwhelms a
Can we call it-
website server.
let's call it double dicked. You got
Double
dicked.
dicked. Yeah, you get BBD,
You got double dicked.
double D, double
Yeah,
BBD.
You got double D'd. How about that?
Yeah,
double
right.
D'd. Just shorten it. Just call it something catchy.
Yeah, Elon's space with Trump got double D'd.
Yeah, you got double D'd.
Which, in their younger days, they might not be opposed to some sort of situation like that if they were one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's
What
true.
these rich people do.
Well, they don't live like us. They have different morals and they laugh at ours.
Never been double D'd. That's one thing I can say.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna ask it to start if it's started yet. So, what do you guys expect to the conversation to go to? So, Ian, what do you think? You think the CNN tells us this? They say it's going to be Musk letting Trump just spread all the disinformation that Musk himself is allowed to spread on his platform. Is that it's just going to be just a disinformation jizz fest?
Yeah, I think there's gonna be jizz information everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of disinformation, wall to wall. Yeah, I mean that's the new thing, right? I mean they started leaking it out with Waltz, because Waltz had a little quote that they've been echoing about his views on the First Amendment do not include misinformation, right? And I still don't know the difference between disinformation and misinformation.
Dis is intentional, they say, and miss is
Just a near miss.
you're just
it
just nicks you right in the
missed
ear.
it.
Yeah, you just nick him in the ear.
Yeah, I turned to the right a little bit, and I missed the information.
The difference in dis and miss is just that 1 inch. That head turn is that's all the difference is.
Just 1 inch, man. Wow.
So, yeah, the EU commissioner is going to flip his powdered wig. Yeah, right.
If I ever get arrested in England, it's going to be very hard to not laugh at the judge when he shows up with that. Or what do they call my solicitor? Hello, my solicitor.
Right.
And I'll talk like this the
yeah.
entire time I'm in court.
Right. I hope I'm in a powdered wig if I ever
Yeah,
get arrested.
I'll wear one.
If CNN and MSDNC, I love that nickname, call it misinformation, it's probably true. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Well, Rush Limbaugh used to call it PMSNBC, which was a good one too.
So a couple people got in. They used to call it what?
I think Limbaugh used to call it PMSNBC.
That's good. Limbaugh was great. Let's see. Has it started yet?
Remember when we were going to do Josh? I had this idea with Josh. We were going to do Rush After Dark, where after Rush Limbaugh gets done with his daytime show, he goes home, does a little bit of yoga, smokes up some acid, and then does Rush After Dark, where he talks about aliens, supernatural things, which would have been great.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sending out a couple messages to see if anybody will share the screen with us. I know people are weird about that, so I don't know what we'll get. But would you to join us on our live stream and share? Hey, person that I've never met, would you like to share your screen with us? That's kind of what I'm asking. Would you like to join us, share yours? All right. Let me see here. Yeah, no, the CNN spent the whole day talking about Kamala's crowd sizes, which they've been talking about that for like weeks. Just how big and authentic they are.
Oh yeah.
And how go ahead.
Just like her wedding, her marriage is.
It's very big and authentic.
It's very authentic.
Right.
Her whole life, her laugh is big and authentic.
So did you know that on the first date, Doug Emhoff said this, that on the first date that Kamala right away just started talking about how much she knows about Jewish culture and giving her Jewish resume, and she's gone to Israel, and my question was, I wonder if Dougie did the same thing about how black he is. Mm-hmm. He'd start giving us black cred, or Indian, depending on what you believe about Kamala.
Well, according to Ben Stiller, it's so sad to see all these great comedians just go absolutely crazy. But according to Ben Stiller, every Jewish guy just wants to be black. That's what he said.
I know. I saw him say that.
And I worked with Jon Stewart, and I got to say, super nice guy. He really is. He's a very, very sweet man. And he was a very gracious boss. He really was. But his opinions just suck, man.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
All right, so I sent out a few fillers, so maybe you heard that. Yeah, they did that on the first date. That was the first thing, Nate, which is great. Which I think, again, that's why they want Doug. I seriously think
he brought her Kwanzaa gifts, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure the first date had to be on.
Because remember, she said she grew up celebrating Kwanzaa. Her favorite, she had a commercial where she talked about her favorite Kwanzaa memory.
Oh, wait, Zach's in. So I'm going to bring Zach in. Yeah, Zach, will you join us? He's in. There's just elevator music. So, dude, Zach must have heard us talking about him, Ian.
Oh, yeah?
Because, Zach, did you hear us talking about how you have to protect us from all these DDoS attacks?
Yeah. Got to stop these double Ds, baby.
Yeah, from penetrating both sides of, our internet streams.
We're calling them double Ds, by the way. We're trying to get that a thing going in the computer community. You got double D'd.
Yeah, right. All right.
Yeah. What do you think the first question Elon Musk, if we could watch this interview, what would his first question have been?
How big is your hands, if you know what I mean? Zach, what's up, dude? Zach's joining us.
Sharing my screen now. All we're getting is elevator music right now, though. But
it's a DDoS attack, apparently.
Yeah, a double D attack.
So what are those attacks? I'm sure you know about them, Zach. In fact, we called on you to be our cyber protector in the future earlier in the show.
Yeah, I was getting attacked by Iranians earlier.
And unfortunately, I can't stay long. I'll explain this, but then you can borrow my screen or whatever, but I'll have to go.
Okay.
So a DDoS attack is basically when somebody can control, probably thousands or tens of thousands of machines. They might be hacked machines, or they might be, usually they're hacked machines, or it could be, like in the case of Anonymous way back in the day, it was just a bunch of activists who got together and, banded together. And then they focus a bunch of traffic on one thing and overload them.
Mm.
So, in this case, it would almost certainly be like a botnet or, machines that have been hacked and then put into a command and control structure that somebody can turn them on whatever victim they want.
So
Yeah.
would a government could do this, or maybe a news organization, a competitive?
I mean, almost anybody, you can buy them. Like on the dark net, there's places where you can like give a target, send some Bitcoin, and they'll do it for you.
Yeah, interesting. So is there any chance it's a copy of Joe Biden's brain, like Ian suggested earlier?
Yeah, it's probably coming straight from his Neuralink.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
That backfired on Elon.
Yeah,
sure.
Elon's
Right, the
really was
Neuralink,
like,
wow. That would be quite a turn of events right there. So this is, can I share this, what you have shared with us?
The share screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, although the music just stopped, so I don't know if that means mine crashed or
It's about to
if it's
start.
about to kick off. Yeah, but go ahead and share it. That's
All right.
okay. So I'm not even sure if that's the right screen. Now, okay, now the little
Oh, I
thing-
see. Yeah, I see the thing over there.
Okay, cool.
Let's see if anything's changed here. Details not available. You know what? Oh, wait. It let me get in, but I hear nothing also.
wow.
So, Team Trump, the biggest interview in history, and now we're asking you to make this President Trump's biggest fundraising day ever. And before the interview is over, we're calling on 10 million patriots to donate any amount and proudly say, I stand with Trump.
Well, you have to donate and say that.
Yeah, I think it doesn't count unless you say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so elevator music is gone for everyone. Zach, I can share mine now if you don't want to share. I don't know if somebody's got a nice cooked meal there, it looks like. But yeah, you're welcome to hang out as long as you can. I know you said you got to go.
Yeah, well, I better jump off, but
All right, man. Well, thanks for
Okay.
jumping in to help
Thanks,
out.
man.
I appreciate
See
it.
ya.
no problem. See you guys.
All right, later, man.
Man,
Zach
it's
just
good-
jumping in to check. That's
that
his
we
way of
got
making
that-
sure we didn't have a
you know-
DDoS attack.
Yeah, it's good that guy's on our team, man.
I'm telling you, dude.
That's gonna
Zach,
come in handy. Zach is the guy. We were talking about this the other day.
super smart.
Zach's the guy when you and I are in the building trying to pull the heist off. Zach is our guy in the van.
Right.
He's the guy
yeah.
in the van with the
He's the one
computer.
taking out all the enemies
He's taking
with
out
a
all
drone.
the cameras. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's taking out all their security camera screens and putting up fake ones from 2 hours ago.
We're dead a million times in that bank, if not for him.
That's right. That's right. The only reason we succeed is because of him.
Right. Well, have you seen Punisher season 1? I think maybe
Yeah,
season 2.
That's
where
the
he's
only
got
season I saw of most
He's got the
shows.
guy who he does what you were saying there for the Punisher. Of course, I'm not saying we're the Punisher. But, together, maybe we're not
No,
even close.
we're more
but-
like we're more like the crew in Sneakers. Remember
Yeah,
that movie,
right.
Sneakers? That was a good movie.
So there we are. Trump is a host and his mic is muted. As you can see, I'm the first guest, clearly. This is what everybody sees, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Trump is probably. Who's this? Binkley.
It's pretty Brinkley. Brinkley.
Red Binkley.
Is related to Christy Brinkley. That's a beautiful, beautiful woman.
Beautiful woman. I was trying to think of Elon. What is Elon? Elon is a bit like this, maybe. Hello, President Trump.
Yeah,
His
and
mouth
he-
barely moves when he talks. Hello.
And he says
And he
says
if you-
a lot, which I do also. It's not a criticism. It's just,
yes. Yeah, you got to find that quirk, and then that gets you in there. Like for Biden, it's the no joke, no joke. That's
Yep.
how I try. That's how I got to get in there.
and you're gonna have to work on another one now that Biden's gonna be out of the spotlight soon.
I know. And that girl does a really good Kamala. I can't. Do
Yeah,
Kamala.
I can't believe I couldn't get her to respond.
My
to come
Kamala
on the
just
show
sounds like
with you
Fran
guys.
Drescher.
Yeah, mine sounds like a guy trying to be Kamala.
Yeah.
I can get some of her cadence.
Yeah,
Elevator music. Yeah, wow.
I know. I was thinking of
I can't believe we didn't get the elevator
Tim
music.
Waltz. I was thinking of a Tim Waltz trying to do a Tim Waltz. Tim Waltz. He's got a voice.
He's
I think
doable.
He's got a very good charactery voice. Like he would make an excellent cartoon dog.
Yeah. What's
you know,
going on?
like
here?
a cartoon, cartoon Scottish Terrier, or I'm trying to think of he would be like the wise dog. If it was a movie about a gaggle of dogs that hung out, a pack of dogs, I guess they're called packs. So if he was hanging out with a pack of dogs, he would be he'd be the funnel, the funnel cake dad, kind of Midwestern dad.
He's a real asshole, you can tell.
You can tell he's a dick.
Wouldn't it be funny if everybody else's microphones were sharing into this except for Trump's and Elon's?
And it was just
like this conversation was.
Us. That was great. Oh my god, it's so good.
So,
man,
somebody the other day said that in a comment, they're like, everything isn't bait. I'm kind of like, well, I think a lot of things are bait because I think a lot of these people operate as under the Solinsky, the actions and the reaction. This probably isn't, but also. They plan, it's like an improv show, everything is gold. So if you're going to have something mess up like this, then it's almost like let's plan how they're going to react to it in the reporting, and let's maybe bait them into reacting that way a little more so that we can have our reaction to that reaction. And
yeah,
I wonder what the I bet. In fact, I'm going to go to CNN and see if they're already reporting the outage.
They might. I think honestly, they've been intentionally not reporting anything on Trump.
I would agree about that.
For whatever reason, somebody got to them in the Kamala campaign and said, "I know it's going to hurt your pocketbook, but you can't report on this guy."
Right. You're also going to be. It's like not looking at the hot chick because the media just loves reporting on Trump. What were they saying earlier?
This is the biggest interview in history, and now.
So you know what they've been saying about Trump the past week or so is Trump has stopped doing rallies.
I know.
He went less than a week between rallies,
right.
and the coverage is why is he stopped?
Everyone. My apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had
I'll
a
get it by the
massive
end of this.
Distributed denial of service attack against our servers and saturated all of our data lines. Like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But
so X got wet.
As this massive attack illustrates, there's
it got wet and they had to
a lot of
unplug it and
opposition
dry it
to
off.
people just hearing what President Trump has to say. And but I'm honored to have this conversation. I want to emphasize it's a conversation, and it's really intended to just get a feel for what Donald Trump is just like in a conversation. It's hard to catch a vibe about someone if you just don't hear them talk in a normal way. And when there's an adversarial interview, like no one's themselves in an adversarial interview. And this is really aimed at kind of open-minded, independent voters who just trying to make up their mind. So you can understand like what is what is it just like to have a conversation? So honored to Donald, great to speak. We had a great conversation yesterday. As you mentioned yesterday, if we could just record that conversation and post it, it would have been excellent. And I hope we can have something like that today.
Well, I think we will. I'm pretty sure we will. And congratulations, because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people, and it's an honor. We view that as an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive, oftentimes constructive.
Voice?
And so we have to consider it an honor. But congratulations on breaking every record in the book tonight. That's great.
Well, thank you. Maybe we could start off with, the assassination attempt, which was an incredible thing. And I have to say that, your actions after that assassination attempt were inspiring. You, instead of shying away from things, instead of ducking down, you were pumping your fist in the air and saying, fight, fight, fight. And I think that's, the president of the United States represents America, and I think that is that is America. That is strength under fire. And so that's a big part of the reason why I was excited to endorse you as the president of the United States for having another term here is that was just incredibly inspiring. But I mean, what was it like for you?
Not pleasant. I have to be.
Pleasant.
I said there was blood. I had
Being
more
shot is
blood.
not
I didn't
much
know
fun.
I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle, and it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. You know, I was telling somebody you have instances like this, or like a lot less than this, where you feel it's a surreal situation, and I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew
They're in the same
immediately
room.
that it was at the ear,
Yeah.
and because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, "Bullets, bullets!" Get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly, and we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter, and so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was for those
Split
people that
second.
don't believe in God. I think we got to all start
I think
thinking
Musk
about that.
doesn't.
You have to. I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect angle, and all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart even more
maybe
now.
it's a
than
sign. Maybe that's a sign.
It's an immigration sign.
You highlighted a serious issue, and
Yeah.
at that moment,
That's right.
the bullet missed your, he hit your ear, but missed your head. I mean,
Well, the amazing thing is that the sign, I said, bring down that sign on immigration, and
1 million
it was
listeners.
literally about an eighth of a second where it would be good, and after that it was going to be a disaster, no matter which way you were facing. But it just had that perfect angle, which was exactly at this shooter. Very sad situation. Such a sad situation. As you know, we lost somebody that was great, Corey, who a firefighter, a great gentleman, a great trumper. He was just a fantastic family and a fantastic man. And a friend of mine came up, Elon, and said, "I'd like to give the family some
What if
kind
Trump
of
loses by one
help."
vote?
And I said,
It's like that
"That's
Kevin
great." He
Costner
said, "Do you
movie.
mind?" I said, "I don't mind at all." And he wrote out a check for $1 million, gave it to the wife, and she said, "This is really nice, but I'd rather have my husband back," which is a nice thing for somebody to say, to be honest. She's great. The family is great, and we raised a lot of money for them and for two other gentlemen are unbelievable people. Also, they were hit really badly. They thought they were not going to make it, and they did. The doctors in the Butler area, I tell you, they were incredible. They saved the two, and they were really hit tough, both of them equally. And we thought my first question was because I heard bullets flying over me, and I said, "How many people were killed?" Because we had a massive crowd there, a tremendous, thousands and thousands of people, and there was no land. I mean, it was all people. So I said,
Musk said he had
"How many
assassination
people have been
attempts
killed?"
recently.
Because I knew there were
That's what he
other
said,
shots being fired,
Sure.
and they said, "We don't know yet, but some people have been badly hurt." And I have to give the Secret Service a sniper, they call him, or sharpshooter, but sniper,
Is there
because
something going on
he
with
didn't
Trump's
know
voice?
Is
there was
Mike?
a problem.
It's a mic thing.
He's
because,
an extraordinary shot.
It sounds like he's had dental
obviously,
work.
and he didn't know there was a problem, and he was able to pick it
there's
all
some
out
sort
within
of
5
filter.
seconds.
Yeah.
And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. The shooter was 130.
Yeah. You
But
can.
he was on the he was on the opposite side of the field and the podium.
I think when
And he saw the smoke and the flame from the gun.
the audio is
immediately
enhanced
recognized
a certain way,
it.
you start to
and
hear those in
immediately
people's
took the
mouths
shot.
more. Because I've
And it was
heard that in
one
editing a lot.
perfect shot from very far away. And if he didn't do that, Elon, he would have I mean, if he would have, a lot more people could have been
Sure.
badly hurt and killed. So
Yeah,
I have to
absolutely.
take my hat off to him because that's also a surreal. You know, he's been
Yeah,
with them
it
for
sounds
23
honestly
years,
like
and
Yeah.
he's never
the
had
Adobe
anything like this.
podcast filter in
And
real
all of a
time.
sudden, he has to act, and it's a very tough thing to
Sure.
act and to be shooting somebody. But he saw the gun, saw the smoke, saw the flame from the gun, very far away.
Like he's got
Obviously, he has very
braces.
good eyes. He's
Hey,
got very good
listen.
vision, which I assume you
Yeah.
have to have in that particular
It's not
work.
funny.
But he took
Absolutely.
aim very quickly, and they say it was approximately 5 seconds from long range,
Yeah.
one bullet.
I've sounded that way in
That
some
didn't
shows
happen
because
because
I
the
edited the
shooter had a
audio
lot of
wrong.
bullets. He had a lot of cartridges
Sure.
up
He
there
had a
with
lot
him.
of bullets. He's gonna
Well,
shoot them
it was
all.
great.
I mean,
Those
I mean
sniper had bullets.
that's clearly, he was very competent in taking that shot to stop the attempted assassination. But I mean, there does seem to be, I mean, some pretty significant failings elsewhere in the system. Like, there's just no way that, like, how on earth does a shooter get on
Have
a
you
roof
seen
130 yards
our
away?
liberal friends
That
spreading
seems crazy.
stories of
I think most people
people
people are
converting
wondering how on earth
to
could such a thing
Kamala?
happen?
Well, I view it as two ways.
No,
There
I
should have been
haven't seen
nobody
that.
in the
Oh
roof.
my God.
There were people
I'm a
because there were
pro-life
so many
Republican,
tens of thousands of
but I
people that
couldn't live
there
with
were
myself if
people
I
that were
helped
seeing
get
him.
Donald Trump elected.
And there was one woman with a red
Yeah, I don't
shirt
believe that at all.
No
and
shit.
Right.
Trump
And
all
so-
over
I
it,
saw the video.
and she's
I
screaming.
told my friend
And that
today,
guy's
'cause he
got
was
a
sharing
gun.
that
You know,
story
you
with me. I
saw
said,
it
yeah, well, that
probably,
was
yeah.
the same thing with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
a guy
No,
up there
no,
with a
no.
gun.
I mean,
He was one
it's
of
like,
those.
I'm
He's one
just,
of those
I guess,
Republicans.
I mean, for my part, and I think probably
JB
many
says
members
Trump
of the
must
public
have had
are
the
wondering
robo dentist.
how the heck are, basically
Yeah.
people wondering by pointing out there's a guy on the roof with a gun.
Yeah.
And they're seeing it, but somehow it's not being addressed. That does seem
Yeah,
crazy.
well, they're going to learn from this. The communication between the local
It
police,
does sound like
who
he's
sort of had an idea, and then
got a
ultimately
headgear
a
on.
man
Well,
lifted
listen.
himself up to the roof, could barely do it because he was pulling himself up, and
Yeah.
he saw the man with the gun. The man with the gun pointed the gun at him. He thought he was probably going to get shot, but he was like pulling himself up, and because of that, he couldn't get to his gun. And he fell down, actually very badly hurt his leg, his ankle. I hear very badly,
Okay.
but he fell down. And he did, from what I understand, he did say there's a guy up there with a gun. And the shooting started very quickly after that. I think it forced the shooter to go maybe quicker. He was supposed to be a very good shot.
Yeah.
My sons, Don and Eric, they can't believe what happened, but they said from 130 yards,
My daughter's
a
scared.
bad shot would hit that target almost every time. They said it's like in golf,
Yeah.
sinking a 2-foot putt.
Yeah. It's not a
No,
tough shot.
it's not a long shot. The Secret Service person had the long shot. He had triple the
Yeah.
distance actually.
I don't know. Is that true?
It was
Is it that easy of a shot?
a terrible thing. Look, it's hard. I have to say this about the Secret Service. When I went down, and I went down based on, I think they're screaming, but other people also, because people saw this happen. You had so many people. One of the miracles was that nobody ran. I mean, if a gun goes off, the crowd
Yeah.
control people showed us this. When guns go off, and it does happen in stadiums at a soccer match or some kind of a match, everybody flees. They
conversation's
call it a
all
stampede,
AI?
like cattle. But
Yeah.
everybody, and a lot of
Yeah.
people get killed with those stampedes. We had
Sure.
more people than you'd have at, some of these matches or these games, and nobody left.
That's all I
you
can
had
hear now
a
that you
small
pointed it
group
out.
behind us in the grandstand, and that was
Yeah,
full.
he sounds like he's 14
And
years
you
old.
look
and
at
he has
it as it was
braces,
taking place,
and he's
and
just real.
normally
awkward.
they'd be
Going
running.
through that
They
awkward
didn't.
phase
They
of his
saw that
life.
I was
Like
hurt.
he's trying to
They
ask
saw a lot
Listen,
of
I
blood.
just want to be the president
they
for
saw that I
everybody,
went
okay,
down,
guys? And you guys
and
were just
it's almost like
shooting
they
at me.
wanted to be
That's
with
not
me. Well,
cool.
out front, you had thousands, tens of thousands of people. As far as the eye could see, you had people in Butler. As far as the eye
Yeah,
could see,
Sam. It's
and
Yeah.
a lot of
It
press
is
too.
tough
There was,
'cause
many cameras
I've used
on watching
filters and
this.
stuff
It's
before
what
that
makes it
it
so
can make
different
you
because
sound
normally
when you listen
things
after the
happen
fact.
that
You
aren't
realize
good,
how
but you never have a picture of it. Here we have all these cameras
he
shooting it.
does sound like he has a
So,
speech impediment
sort
too, a
of
little bit.
amazing. But one of the interesting things was that you didn't have anybody flee.
Yeah,
You didn't have
it's-
anybody stampede.
Sure.
Nobody. And there were some people behind me. They stood up and they're looking like, you know.
Well,
I
they
mean, okay,
couldn't
you want to
flee
have
because
Yeah.
there
you
was
want
a-
to have them in a foxhole with you. I
if
want to
you
meet some of
run
those
from
They
a
were
people
crime
penned
scene,
in.
because it's so
Where were they-
different from what
I mean,
you
they were
heard. But
penned in.
so
I know,
so I
they
was
couldn't
down.
leave.
But the Secret Service
Yeah.
guys, there were bullets flying right over my head. You could hear them go whizzing,
Now,
and
I will
Yeah.
say
these
it's interesting
guys
they didn't duck.
came jumping on top of
Right.
me,
But
you know, and a young
I
lady,
also
Kate.
contend that
Uh,
they
would
knew that there
jump-
was
they-
an
they moved
entire
so fast,
army of
and
cops
Let me
with
tell you, that took
guns.
tremendous courage. Now there was a
It
lack
changes
of
the dynamic.
coordination.
I don't think people
There
necessarily,
was, you know,
especially if they haven't
obviously
been
everybody
trained,
understands that
Yeah.
know how they
somebody
would react in a
that building should have
situation
been
like that.
covered, and
Yeah. I mean,
that
I
was
think,
the big
that,
thing.
like, I mean,
I think it was a lot of
I mean,
confusion
looking at the
too. I think
aerial
a lot of
views,
people just didn't know
that
what
building
the
would
hell
be like the
was
number
going on.
one spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like the if you were to pick like what is the favorite what if you so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite
170,000
spot? That
comments.
building.
Whoops.
The
You're
roof of
right.
that building would be number one.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better
No,
location. It's like number
No,
one.
that would have been the spot.
Um,
You know what people think
Yeah.
is when the local policeman, who, by the way, you know, he
The whole
really
story is
he did what he was supposed to do. He couldn't hold on any longer.
wild.
And then when he
Yeah.
got his head just peeking above,
Whatever
this guy standing there with
theory
a gun
one
in his head.
believes, it's still a
And
wild story.
When he
that
fell down
you would
again,
think
hurt
would
his
get
ankle
more
very badly, but he
attention
was making
in
the calls.
investigating.
But what
Oh,
happened
the
is
whole
the
reason
firing took
why-
place
I
very
mean,
soon.
The assassination attempt.
What
is
they
why
think is that this guy ran
Kamala
to his
is- I mean,
site,
come on, it changed.
which he had all
Democrats
planned out
knew
with the
that
gun.
They had to shake things up.
He ran to the
otherwise
site
they
and he
lost in
started
that moment.
shooting fast, and
Yeah.
maybe
There's
that's
no coming
why
back from that.
he well, he sort of missed. I mean, you know, he
Yeah, but
he
as you
got
said,
me,
you
but it
would have
could have
hit.
been it could have been a much bigger problem.
But he totally would have hit if you hadn't turned your head. So, like, you know, there was it was a very near thing.
It was
So,
a miracle. If I hadn't
um,
turned my head,
Yeah,
I would not be talking to you right now. As much as I like you,
I'd be
exactly.
signing
would
to
not-
you.
Yeah,
I would not be talking.
Maybe talking to me from another realm, perhaps.
Yeah,
That'd be an
that's right.
apparition
We'd be
because
talking from
I'm
a
still
different
running for
place.
president.
But it was
Ghost president.
you know, it was a very terrible experience. The Butler Hospital, they did such a great job. The doctors were so good. Everybody was so good. There was a mistake. If somebody knew, because people were hearing that, you know, there was just a bad feeling that there was somebody was around. You know that story now. It's been pretty
Yeah,
well-
yeah.
And
Yeah.
if
That's
somebody could
probably
have said, because they've
foul.
oftentimes said, you know, like there'd be a
No,
lightning
talk about
storm or
Elon.
something. Because I've done, I think over 300. I think I did a lot more than that, but we did a lot. And
Ian, can you bump
oftentimes
your
they'll say,
mic up a
"Sir, could you
tad
wait
at
10
all?
minutes, please?
maybe
Sir,
get
could you
closer
wait
to
20
it?
minutes?
Is that
There's
better?
a storm overhead
Yes,
or
better.
lightning or something, right?" And
Yeah.
that happens often. And this would have been a perfect time for that to have happened, but
How's that?
it
better.
didn't get coordinated. That was the problem.
All right. Next
Well,
subject.
It was your. I think your actions in the heat of fire, and you know, like what I find admirable there was that you can't fake bravery under such circumstances. The courage is instinctual, or it is not. It's not a rehearsed action. And so I just want to say that I think a lot of people admire your courage under fire there. And
Hopefully that line is
so-
going to be
Thank
the
you
subject
very
of
much. I
conversation.
appreciate it. I didn't think
It's not a
think
rehearsed
of it.
action.
I just wanted to get up
What is?
and I wanted to stand up.
It's
I
not
wanted
a
to let
rehearsed
people know.
action.
You know, I felt I
Will be
was
the subject of
when-
conversation on
when they
next.
were
Yeah.
on top of me, covering me, actually, very much covering me, and very bravely. But I wanted to get up. I said, I want to get up, and
I want to get up.
they wanted, you know, they have everything there. They wanted stretcher. I didn't like the stretcher, and I knew I was hit in the ear, but I knew I
They
wasn't
wanted
hit
it on
anywhere
the
else. They felt
stretcher.
I was hit someplace else
Yeah.
because
There's
there
no
was
way.
such a lot of blood, and they were sure that I was hit someplace else. And they were
Imagine if they
said,
took him
"Sir,
off on a
what-
stretcher.
You were
the
hit more
chaos
than
that
the
would
ear." I said,
ensue
"Nope, I
afterwards.
was hit in the ear. I want to get up. Let me get up." And so I got up,
Nope.
and the
Hit me
crowd
here.
didn't know what to think. I mean, this was so many people, and you could see they
I
were
said,
confused.
stand
They
up.
didn't know what to
Everybody
think.
stand up.
And I wanted to let them know I was okay. It was very important for me to let them
Yeah.
know that.
Just
And
like
they
you
went
said, Brad.
wild. You've seen the after. They didn't go wild when I
Yeah.
got up
I
because
mean, that
they
makes
didn't know
sense to me. That
was I
does
alive.
aspect of
You
it.
really couldn't tell when I stood up before the hand, before the the fist in the air. They didn't know if I was alive. Nobody did. And when I put the fist up, they were just relieved and happy and thrilled, and the place went crazy. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was a terrible
Well,
thing, but it was
It's
incredibly,
like
nice.
whether you,
moving.
I know some people don't believe the
Um,
thing happened,
well,
but
and-
whether you
and-
believe
I
it
mean,
or
speaking
not,
of
that type of mentality is the mentality of
slide
somebody
that
who's
got
a
you to
leader,
turn that
is knowing.
saved your life. Really, was the illegal immigration
Right.
slide. Maybe this,
That's right.
maybe this is worth talking about that.
It was.
That slide saved
You're
your
right.
life.
No,
Basically.
the illegal immigration saved my life. You're right, but it was, you had to be at that exact angle.
I mean, that's a great one. saved by illegal
You know,
immigration.
the incredible
That
thing,
That
though,
would
when you
have been
talk about
hilarious.
the odds,
Nate,
you had to be
Nate says
exactly
he
at
should
that
have faked
angle.
dead
But
and set up like the
the
Undertaker.
incredible
Oh my
thing is
God!
that
Yes.
the chart, I used it less than 20% of the time. It was
That's
just a
funny.
moment.
Yeah.
It's always on my left, never my right, and it's always
Yeah,
at the
he
end
does.
of the
I
speech.
think it's something to do
So
with the mic.
here we have it. It's on the right.
Yes, he
settings,
does.
not the
Filter.
left.
Sounds like
It's at the
sounds
beginning,
like
not
this.
the end.
It's got a headgear on.
And
or
even the
something.
people that put it up, they were unprepared, and they did a great job. They got it up immediately, fortunately. But
Yeah,
I
like
looked
I
to the
always do
right,
with Melania.
and the bullet came whizzing by, hitting my ear. So it was amazing. But when you think of the odds of that, and
Yeah.
you know that normally you wouldn't use it. Normally I wouldn't have the thing, and then it
Yeah.
would have been a very different story. It's very much, I say, an act of God. It's a miracle that it happened, and I'm honored by it.
What if he-
honored by it?
What if he
Well-
tries to save
Well,
Elon Musk?
what were you about to say about illegal immigration before you were rudely interrupted? with a
Well, I was
bullet?
going to say how good the numbers were. By the way, we're going back to Butler, and we're going to go
Great.
back in October. We're all set up, and the people are fantastic in Butler. It's a great area. Great. These are incredible people. Like the three that, in the case of Corey, killed, and the other two, the families are. I got to know them a little bit, and the families are great. But we're going back to Butler, and I think I'll probably start by saying, as I was saying,
As you
prior
were
to being
saying,
so horribly
You should
interrupted.
have
Yeah.
saved
but-
that punchline.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
rudely interrupted by an
Yeah,
assassination
so-
attempt.
But no, but the chart,
Some people have no manners.
Elon, the chart was just a chart that in my last week, we had the
You
best
think he's going to take those families out
illegal
to Sizzler?
immigration numbers, meaning stopping.
Yeah,
It was at the lowest. You've seen the chart. It's become quite a famous
Yeah,
chart.
yeah.
Bring him
But
up on stage.
that was the lowest
Yeah.
point.
You know, I don't think we have a
ever
Sizzler. We have a
recorded.
Golden Corral.
It was
around here.
really,
We could go to Golden
ours
Corral.
is
I mean,
shut
I was very
down.
proud of those numbers. And then you see what happened with these people.
COVID got
Kamala
Golden Crown
and Joe.
around here.
You see what happened. They just let it go. I had remain in Mexico policies. I had all these different policies that was so good.
The remain in Mexico.
Guys like Tom
policy.
Holman and Brandon Judd from Border Patrol. These are all people that they've been on television. It says the best numbers we've ever had. We had so many different checks, catch and release in Mexico, not the United. We had catch and release in the United States. We had it in Mexico. We had so many things. We had things where if many people come
I
in
wonder
there,
if there
they have
anybody's selling
contagious
little
diseases.
commemorative.
We had everything passed. If you have a
charts.
contagious disease, I'm sorry, but we cannot allow you into the country. So we were setting literally records, and all I was doing is showing that, and I use it sometimes,
Sure.
and in this case, I'm glad I used it. I can tell you that, but they were fantastic numbers. But I'm going to sleep with that chart always. I'll be sleeping with that chart. That
It's gonna
chart
be a
was,
three-way.
Was very important.
Melania's a little jealous.
Very important for a lot of reasons.
Well, I mean, would it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration, but we obviously need to shut down illegal immigration and especially unvetted illegal
Yes.
immigration because and that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that?
I grab
absolutely
each one by the pussy
I
before
say
they
it
come
very
in.
simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked.
Yeah.
Down a
look,
runway.
Kamala was
they
the
gotta
border
look
czar.
good.
Now she's
They gotta
denying
look
it.
good if they wanna
Everything that
get
I
in.
do,
Gotta be
she's saying
attractive.
she was strong on the border.
I'm gonna
we're
open
gonna
a
be
runway
strong.
along
Well,
the border
she doesn't
where
have
all
to
the
say it. She
models
could
can
close
come
it up
in.
right now. They could do things
It's the
right
new
now.
Miss
It's
Universe.
horrible.
It's
Uh,
the new Miss
No
America.
tax
Which
on
one
tips,
are you
and all
going
of
to
a sudden
be?
she's making a
Which one
speech
of
and
you
saying there will be no tax
gonna
on
be the
tips.
new
I
Miss
said that months
America?
ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips,
You know what never
but they
gets in the
hired
news?
88,000
Right.
IRS agents and
About
many
how
of them were
Mexico
assigned to
handles
go get
their border.
waitresses and
Right.
caddies
It's a
and
lot
all of this.
stricter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you, and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is
That's
terrible.
her
And I
only
think it's also
policy. Is she's
hitting
going
them
to do
very
the same
hard.
thing as Trump.
These
with
people are
tax on
fake.
tips.
Now they're also saying they did a good job in the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too, you hear 12
Yeah.
million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country,
Yeah.
many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is
Yeah.
insane asylums, and many are terrorists. And I'll tell you what, they're coming not just from South America, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Asia, they're
Yeah.
coming from the Middle East, they're coming from countries that are stupidly and horribly bombing Israel October 7th. They're coming from all over the world. And you look at, it's so sad, October 7th, because it should have never happened.
They're coming
Yeah.
from
It's so
Palestine. is
sad
that what
when
he's
you look
saying?
at Ukraine.
Yeah.
It should have never happened. We have a defective
Yeah.
government. These are defective people, and they're not people that should be running it. But where you see it the best is the border, because you have millions of people coming in a month, and then she gets up
You
and
could
she tries
tell
to
he
pretend
hesitated
like
there. He can
she's
tell
going to do
that's a
something.
sensitive
She has
subject.
3.5 years. And by the way, they have another 5
'Cause
months
a lot of people don't
that
like
they can
what
do
Israel's
something, but
doing.
they
Yeah.
won't do anything.
Right.
It's all talk. She's
No.
incompetent and he's incompetent. And frankly, I think that she's more incompetent than
Any
he
word,
is.
it does
And that's
sound
saying something, because he's
it
not
does
too
sound
good.
AI for sure.
Yeah. No, I think it is essential to have a secure border. I mean, you're really not a country unless
I
you
mean,
have a
Musk
secure
always
border.
sounds like an AI.
And
with
secure
the filters
elections,
you
too.
can use live now, it's tough to
Yeah,
tell.
absolutely secure
Like,
elections, and
it's just
so
getting really hard to
it's
tell.
just essential to have a real border, or we can't function as a country, and our service, our essential services are being overwhelmed in a lot of cities. As we were talking about earlier, I think having a legal immigration process that is smooth and efficient and done well, and speaking as someone who is a legal immigrant, and
An
I
African
think
American.
like one way to think of it is, who do you want on your team?
Not the
Who do you want on
trans.
Team America? And I think we want to just say, okay, we
Unless I want to
want
win.
to let in people who are gonna, be great contributors to our society and to our economy,
Right.
and and who do you want on the team? And it's not to say that, like in my opinion, actually, I'd say like probably most of the illegal immigrants actually are actually good, hardworking people. That's my opinion. But some are not, and you just have this sort of adverse selection process where, if somebody's if somebody's like uh, has a career in theft or robbery, I don't understand what's taken them so long to get here, because we're in such a target-rich environment. I mean, why aren't more people who have a career in, bad things coming here sooner? Because it's a piece of cake to go rob, houses in LA or New York, compared to other parts of the world. And in a lot of places in America, if you try to stop the person who's robbing you, you'll be arrested.
Yeah.
So it's
It's,
insane.
it's right. I mean, what's happening with crime, and our police are so good, but they're not allowed to do their job. But I have to tell you,
the
Eli, I
advice
hate
I
to
was
say it
always
because
given
it's
by
such a
cop
downer to
friends
say it. I
is,
hate to say it.
if someone breaks into your
I
house,
hate it,
kill them.
but you have a
Because
lot of
they
people
can't
that
tell their
just
side of
shouldn't
the
be. I think
story.
it's a much bigger number
Yeah.
than you think.
You
They're
know?
allowing,
think you're
again,
right,
they're
yeah.
allowing people from their jails. And if you were running one of these countries where they're coming from, you would have had all of them. As an example, Venezuela, their crime is down 72%. They're taking their drug dealers. They're taking, frankly, their prisoners. They're emptying out their prisons. They're taking their criminals, their murderers, their rapists, and they're delivering them into
But that's what
Cam just tweeted,
Castro
"Never
yeah,
give
well, he
Elon a
did on a much
podcast."
smaller scale.
Yeah.
You know, it was a much smaller scale. But this is a massive scale because this is being done worldwide. But here's what's happening: crime all over the world is down. And wait till you see the numbers that we have. You know, this is migrant crime. This is crime that's going to be.
Yeah.
And I saw it today in New York where somebody was knifed with raped the girlfriend of a man that stood there watching in New York in one of the shelters and started
Sure.
pulling out the knives, and bad things happened today. But this is happening every day.
What?
These are rough people. These are people that are in jail for
Yeah.
murder and all sorts of things. And they're releasing them into our country, and they're telling them, if you come back, we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you. So they don't want to come back. But these are rough people.
Yeah.
These are criminals that make our criminals look like nice people. And it's horrible what they're doing. And she's in charge of it because, you know, now she's trying to say
Sure.
she had nothing to do with it. And she's such a liar because she was called the border czar the first day, and it was on the headlines of every newspaper. She's the border czar, and she never even went there. She went
I
to
want
one location
Elon to
which
bring
had
up
nothing to do
Kamala-
with where the problem is. You know, she
Kamala's
went in and
code
out,
switching.
I guess, because she was getting a lot of pressure,
Yeah,
but had nothing to do with the problem
Yeah.
is. But she was the
Well-
border czar, and people
Yeah, yeah.
can't allow them to get away with their disinformation campaign. Now she's trying to say that she wasn't really involved, and the whole thing is horrible. She was totally in charge. She could have shut the border down without him. He didn't know what he was doing anyway, so he wouldn't have even known
Yeah.
what happened. You could shut the border down. He
Yeah.
wouldn't even know the difference. But the fact is that she was border czar. But if you don't have to call her
Yes.
that, the fact is you could just call her. She was in charge of the
Wasn't that
border,
some crazy
and the border was
gaslighting?
the worst
Right.
ever.
She's
It's-
not the
it's simply
border
not
czar.
working.
No,
that
it's
whole-
horrible.
Oh my
Whether
God.
whether it's a question of intention or competence, either way, we don't have a secure border, and we have
The fact that she's
people screaming
hiding
over like
is-
it looks
says
like a
everything.
World War Z
But you
zombie
know-
She's not,
apocalypse.
yeah,
at
she's
times.
It
not
hasn't.
good
And
at
it's
all.
not
sometimes
gotten through
you
to the,
gotta
to
sort of wonder,
the low
like,
information
is
voter.
it real or not? So
All they're
'cause you
seeing
see
are these
things, you're like,
images
is it
and
real?
going, well, I guess people are
I went to the
happier.
border at Eagle Pass, and I saw for myself in
Yeah.
Texas, and I was like, okay, it's real.
Yeah,
I'm like seeing this in real time. I actually
JB
posted the
says, do
video
you think
like
it's
just
real?
live. I just flew there one day and just to see, hey,
It's real.
is
It's
this
just that
made
bad.
up or real? And I'm just seeing
Yeah,
people
it's-
stream across the border.
I mean, it's to a point
and,
now with
and I have to say, you
how
know,
high
these people I
quality
saw did not look friendly.
these,
you know,
These-
so
these are
deepfakes
people-
can be
people
that
can
it's
look at
gonna
my
be a
video
point
and
where
say,
we
hey,
won't
you
be
know,
able to
these,
tell.
these people look friendly. I don't look super friendly, so
These are people that
I
Elon
I think it's
would
real
not
because
be
I
the
actually
same
think
man
the saliva
if he
sounds.
had
I
to
don't
walk
know that they
across
can
the
fake
street
that with
and look
AI
these
yet.
people in the eye. These are rough people. These
I think
are
it's
really rough
enhanced
people
audio
coming
because I
across.
think Trump's
And I
mic
know
was
rough
not
people.
even
And
with
these are
Elon's. I
people
think
that we
they
don't
bumped
want
him
in our
up
country.
without pulling that
And
out.
you know the caravans are coming in, and they're
Because
putting.
I've had a similar
and who's
experience.
doing this are the heads of the countries, and you would be doing
Yeah.
it, and so would I. And everyone would say, "Oh, what a terrible thing to say." The fact is, it's brilliant for them because they're taking all of their bad people, really
It's like
bad
Cam
people.
said, I
And
don't think
I hate to say this,
Having a good audio
reason the
engineer is
numbers are
difficult.
much bigger than you would
And I don't
think,
think
is
that they
they're
have a
also
very good
taking
one.
their non-productive people. Now, these aren't people that will kill you. We have enough of them. But these are people that are non-productive. They are just not productive. I mean, for whatever reason. They're not
Yeah, yeah.
workers or they don't want to work or whatever. And these countries are getting rid of non-productive
I
people
wonder
in
if
the
the-
caravans in many
If like
cases.
CNN and MSNBC will,
And they're
will
also
take
getting
some of
rid
the
of their murderers and
saliva
their
he
drug
sounds
dealers and the
and
people that are really
interpret as
brutal
interpret it
people.
as
And
him as
they're coming
slurring.
into our
Maybe
country
he
at
is
levels that
drunk
have
or
never been seen before.
on something.
And
I bet
saw
we
an
see
ad
that
just before I
in
got
some
on
of
the
the
air.
reporting on it.
I'm walking over here, and I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For 3.5 years,
yeah, no,
we have 20 million people
I
poured
think,
in.
is
It's a terrible
Yeah, I
thing.
think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental
But-
existential issue for the United States.
You don't hear any
And
background
if
sound
we have
from them
another
at
4
all.
more years
And
of open borders, and
guessing
it's going to be even worse
there's a
with another 4 more
filter
years.
that's sucking
it's
that
gonna be even worse
background
than it's
sound
been
out,
for the
but
past,
they had to
3.5 years.
overcompensate by pumping up
I'm not sure we've got a country.
You
left
don't have a country
catching
left. Elon,
the saliva
if
sound.
they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. You know, we think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico. You know, the four. but it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from
Yeah,
everywhere. And I had to stay in
yeah, I think
Mexico.
this is a super important
Yeah.
point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico. to
No,
be clear.
Mexico
It's,
less-
it's just
less
it's
of
just the
the
border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent
What?
of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in
We're
the US.
already
So-
overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed. You had to see the news tonight about New York, and I love that place. And what they're doing to it is horrible. What they're doing to it, and all the courts do is they
Yeah.
try and focus on Trump. Okay, then let's focus on Trump, who did nothing wrong. I complain about a rigged election. Elon, what's happened is unbelievable. You have from Africa. From the Congo, they're coming from the Congo, and 22 people came in from the Congo recently, and they're murderers, and they're dropped. They drop them. They take them out of jails, which is very expensive, to maintain the jails. Although they don't do too much maintaining, I can tell you. But they take them out of jails, prisons. They take them out, and they bring them to the United States. They deposit them in the United States and say, "Don't ever come back, or you're going to be executed." And they don't want to come back. But they won't come back.
Sure.
But they're coming from Africa. They're coming from Asia. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from South America.
Well, just
they're
Earth.
coming from
Rest of Earth,
everywhere.
basically.
And there are a lot of
Yeah,
really
everywhere on
bad
Earth.
ones.
It's just an everywhere on Earth thing, and it's just not possible for the United States to absorb everyone from Earth or
Yeah, TT, they did run that thing through an app.
It's just not possible. So
Well,
And it
Elon,
did come
we're
up
gonna
that
have-
way for
just-
Biden's
I
thing.
heard
Just to
that.
finish this
I
up,
heard
But then
we're
it
that.
was
gonna
run
have
through another app
the
by somebody
largest
else who showed the
deportation in
process from
history
beginning to
of this
end.
country, and we have
Yes,
no
I
choice.
have
showed that
heard
it
Otherwise,
that.
we're
was
gonna have a
not.
One where he
country-
called into the
what
Kamala
they
campaign.
what they've done to
Yeah,
our country.
there was two different
Think
versions
it.
of this. One of them showed the process beginning to end. The
Venezuela
one
and
that
in
came
some
out
of these other
97%
countries,
AI
crime is down
just
50,
showed the
60,
clip
70,
after it had already been
80%.
taken.
Mm.
And the
And
one
you
that
would
showed
be
the
the
process
same.
beginning to end
You would
Yeah.
that I saw
I'll tell you what,
showed that it was
Venezuela has not gotten rid of all of them.
97%
They've gotten
real.
rid of about 70%
So
of their
I
really bad
don't
people.
know.
Their
I-
jails are about
it's-
50%.
I thought that one sounded.
Put into the
I also
United
thought
States.
Biden sounded like
Same
it was
with
run
other
through an
countries.
AI,
Some are
through
30%, some are
AI
50%.
voice
They're all
correctional
different.
app.
But the bottom line is they're all going to be at 100%.
That could have been
Why
real.
wouldn't you put 100%?
Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
They have
And
these
they're
filters you
doing
can
it
put
right
on
now, while this
your mics that
third-rate
in real time
phony
it can change
candidate-
the way. I
Don't
stopped.
forget,
I tried one
beat-
time.
I beat
And then
Biden.
realized it makes you sound
he
funky.
failed in the debate
I didn't use it
miserably.
again.
And some people said, "Oh, gee,
But
it's
then
too bad.
again,
It's too bad."
how do
he
you
did so badly,"
differentiate
or
that
I did
between
well
one that is
in the
AI?
debate. The first night they said, "Wow." One of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance
I
I've
would
ever
like to
witnessed.
see what a
And
couple
then
of
2 days
tries
later,
of
they
that.
didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different.
Yeah.
Look, she hasn't done an interview
Hey,
since this
there's
whole
Cam.
scam started. And say what you want. This
Yeah.
was a coup. This was a coup
What's up,
of a
Cam?
president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice
Yeah.
way or we can do it the
No.
hard way.
Yeah, no, I'm
just
just
showed
took
your
him out
tweet,
back
Cam.
behind the shed and basically shot him.
What they did with this guy,
So,
and I'm no
yeah.
fan of his,
All
and he
right.
was a horrible
That should be
president, the
better.
worst president in history. And one of the reasons
you
he
hear
was
me?
so bad, first of
Yeah.
all, the Israeli attack would have never happened.
There we go. I just
Russia
want to
would
apologize
never have attacked Ukraine.
For
And
because
we would have no
somehow,
inflation. And we wouldn't have
somehow
had the
they
Afghanistan
got
mess, if
the
you think of
audio
it.
Well,
And we
of my
wouldn't have
phone
had
call to my
Afghanistan.
grandfather,
But think of it.
his 86th
We-
birthday.
You take a few of
They
those
got a
events
recording
away
of it,
and
and they're
we have
just
a
playing
different
it on
world.
Twitter, and I don't
We
know
would
what.
also have
No,
no
you're-
inflation
yeah.
was caused by oil.
What is this?
Yeah,
This is
no,
not
I
good.
think you're
It's a
making an excellent
conversation
point
that
here, which
Elon
is that,
said. Just it was
when other countries can, that are,
I've had better
are thinking about
conversations with
invading or doing
inanimate
bad
objects,
things,
I think.
when they're
Yeah,
thinking
I
about
think this
that,
is the
they're thinking
problem
about, okay,
is
what's the American president
people
gonna
like
do?
Elon,
And
he's
do they
really
fear
good at
the American
what he
president,
does,
or
but
is there
he
someone
probably
they-
had a lot
they
of
do not
input and said,
respect?
no, I just
and
want a
do not fear?
conversation.
And I
And
think
didn't listen
they-
to people
they
who knew
do-
more than him
they do,
that
they
you
would,
really need to have some
they,
direction.
but rightfully be.
Think about what
I
you're
mean,
gonna say.
Well, and I think that's the thing, is like,
they're like,
I would
okay,
actually say that the conversation
President Trump is
is
like don't
a
mess
more
with me.
advanced
I mean, that's
version of
like,
interviewing.
whereas I think people are
Because I've
are
done
not
a
gonna
lot
be-
of that
they
where I
obviously
go
not
into
been
it
at
as a
all
conversation.
intimidated by-
Gotcha.
by
And I
Biden,
have an
and they certainly
idea
are
So they're
where I
watching
want to
pretending it's a
go.
conversation.
And you have to really think about it
Well,
in the context
so I
of
think that it's
global
not like a
security.
natural conversation that you have in
That's-
real life.
That's
Right.
Because
that
there are
if
no
the
there are no
American president is
expectations in a natural
someone that,
conversation.
like
Um,
evil
Yeah, they're
dictators
talking
it is
about
improv.
pussy if this is
scared
a
of,
natural
that
conversation.
makes a huge
Right.
difference.
I mean,
to the
a
security
natural
of the
conversation
world.
is improv.
So I had a good relationship
And
with Putin, despite
when
the
you're
Russia,
doing it
Russia,
on a
Russia
stage,
hoax
the
that lasted
improv
for
is
over 2
different
years,
than if you're
just a
doing it
hoax
off of a stage.
created by Hillary Clinton and
Like you're trying to make that
Adam
one guy
Shifty
laugh.
Schiff,
You're trying to
some
find that
just bad
information out that
people,
you want to
just
know or
sick people,
whatever.
frankly.
But
I mean,
a
Schiff is a
conversation
sick person.
in
He's
this
going to end
way,
up
like
probably
a
being a
podcast
senator.
conversation,
It's hard
yeah,
to
you
believe.
have to
The
have
whole thing is
direction.
hard to believe.
You're
But
right.
But
You have to
but
have
there's
some
a
they put our
difference.
suggestions
country in
from the
danger
audience.
with that stuff too.
Well, I
They
mean,
actually,
I
when
don't
they
even
make
know
up
if you
stories, then
necessarily
you have
need
to
suggestions
fight
from
your
the
way out
audience.
of
You
it
just need
for
to
a long
know
time. But I
what you
know
want to
Putin
know
very well. I got
and
along with him
drive
very
the car
well.
down that
He
road.
respected me, and it's just
Because
one of those
it
things.
is
And
it's a
we would
different
talk a
feel
lot about
completely than just
Ukraine.
an
It was
interview.
the
Because I've
apple of
seen
his
many
eye.
interviews that are
But I
very
said,
good, but
don't
they're
ever
very
do
clearly
it.
just a
Don't
guy
ever
reading
do it.
questions.
You know, I shut down Nord Stream
Right,
2. That was the
right.
big
Right,
oil
and that's
pipeline.
and
The
there is
biggest, I think
something
it was
that's like
the
an
biggest
elevated
pipeline in the world going
conversation that
all
you
over
can do,
Europe.
but
I
it's
shut it
not
down.
this.
Biden
This is
came,
just a
and then they
guy
say,
listening
I
and
loved
not
Russia. I
not
was a
pushing
friend of
any
Putin, and I
points
loved
or
Right.
Russia.
He's,
anything.
No,
yeah.
he actually
Like
said to me one
if I
time,
were
he
to
said, if
ask
you're my
Donald Trump
friend,
a
I'd hate to
question,
see you
I
as
would
an
say,
enemy. I
I
shut
actually
down his
haven't voted
pipeline.
since
The biggest
2016.
pipeline, they were looking at that
Yeah.
to
But not
fund.
for president.
And
I haven't done
this
it since 2016. And the reason
pathetic
that I haven't
president gets in
is
there.
because,
And the first
I'm
thing he
a
did,
very
one of the early
anti-war
things he did is
individual.
he shut
If you hear
down.
children screaming, I'm
He
sorry.
shut down
I can't
Yeah, you
Keystone
need to
control
let them
XL
out of their
pipeline,
cages.
which is our pipeline that would have
But
employed 48,000
I am a very anti-war
people,
individual.
pipeline workers.
And so, I
Shuts it
watched
down. That was,
Obama
a massive
use
job
drones to take
that
out
Obama
Anwar.
refused to
What's his
allow.
name?
Yeah.
I
Anwar.
allowed it in my first week because
Killed
it was
an American
jobs and it
citizen
moved
with
oil. And by
drones.
the
Yeah,
way,
and then
in a
his
much more
15-year-old son was
environmentally
taken
friendly
out.
way. It's
And
underground. It's not a truck
I was
that catches on
hoping
fire
that
or
maybe
a
I
train
wouldn't
that
have to
catches
see
on
this
fire.
this
But think
family
of it. He shut down
decimated
the
and completely destroyed. But
XL
the first
pipeline,
thing
the
that Donald
Keystone
Trump did when he
XL
came into
pipeline.
office
Yeah.
He shuts that down,
was to
and he approves the Russian pipeline.
approve an
Yeah,
attack
it
that
doesn't
killed
make any
Right?
sense.
that
It's like,
8-year-old
it's
daughter,
inconsistent.
Nawar or Nora
Certainly
Al-Awlaki.
but I mean, I
Wow.
think it's just worth
And so she
emphasizing,
laid on the
to
ground for
listeners
allegedly
the-
a couple of hours
the-
bleeding out
the-
before
the
she died, and that was the
immense
first thing I
importance
saw Donald Trump do.
of whether the
And so if I
United
was
States
going to ask him
president
a
is
question, I would say,
intimidating or not
how do you make me
intimidating,
vote again?
and how
Because
much
I couldn't
that
sign my
matters
name
to global
to
security.
your stuff
Yeah.
anymore.
Because
How do you get it so
there's
that
some
I
real tough
would vote
characters
for
out
you
there,
or
and if they
anyone
don't think
else
the
again?
American
That's the
president is
challenge
tough,
with any of
they
these
will do
people
what they want
is
to do.
I know every one
you'll
of them.
never you never get interviews if
puts
they
the whole world
those
in
questions
danger.
like
Elon, I
that
know
come
every
up.
one of them,
big
and I
deal.
know them well.
As,
I know
they-
Putin, I know
that's
President
a
Xi, I know Kim
conversation.
Jong Un of North
Yeah,
Korea. I
right.
know every
This
one of them.
is
And let
this
me
is
tell you,
This is a
very
faux
people say, "Oh, this
conversation,
is
as
terrible."
we
He
saw it
said,
put.
I'm not saying anything good or
like,
bad.
and I'm not
They're
even
at the top
attacking
of
him.
their
I'm just
game.
saying this
They're
is
tough,
a
they're
problem on both
smart,
sides
they're
that I
vicious,
couldn't sign off
and they're going to
on.
protect their
How do you
country,
talk
whether
them
they love their
back
country.
into
They
doing
probably
this?
do. It's just a
Right.
different form of
Yeah, I'm the
love,
same
but they're
way.
going to
I'm
protect
a
their country.
non-voter.
But these
Yeah.
are tough people at the top of their
because
game.
it's all,
And when they see a
I think
Kamala
Trump's funnier
or when
by
they see
definitely,
Biden
and,
Sleepy
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Joe,
for sure.
they
But
can't
now
even
they-
all
believe
they
it.
needed
They
was to
can't
get
believe
Kamala
this
in there
happened.
so they can get enough
All
of
the stuff that you're seeing
enough
now,
of a
all the
lead so they
horror
can
that
pull
you
off
look at Israel.
the
They're all
scamming us
waiting for an
again.
attack from
Yeah,
Iran.
yeah.
Iran would not be attacking, believe me.
You know,
when
no
I
way
was
they're
The
going to
Iran
let Donald
attack-
Trump back in
I
the White
say
House.
it
That's not
with
happening.
respect, because
There's
I
no
think
way.
we would have been
Uh,
good with Iran.
say that
I don't want to
again,
do
Ian?
anything bad
There's
to
no
Iran,
way they're letting
but
Donald
they knew
Trump
not
back
to
in the
mess
White
around.
House.
I
Absolutely
totally
no
agree.
way.
I think that
Because
they're
they
gonna
told
steal it
China,
for
if you
Kamala.
buy
They're gonna-
from Iran
if-
oil, it's It's all about the oil. That's where
If
the
they
money
don't
is.
steal it,
But if you buy oil from Iran,
his
you're
car's
not
going to
do
blow up
any
during the
business
inauguration parade.
with the United States.
Poisoning, something.
And I meant it. And they
Well, there
said,
was
we'll
some
pass.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't
there
buy
was
oil.
some
Other
congressman or
countries
something that
likewise.
was
You want to
talking
buy,
like just
you're not
like
doing business with the United
what
States.
you would
And
expect, like
they were at a
January
point where
6ers to talk about,
they had no
you know,
money for Hamas.
almost 4
They
years
had no
ago,
money
which
for
is,
Hezbollah. They
you know,
had no
if
money for
he
any of
wins,
these
we're not going
instruments of
to,
terror.
we're going to say it's
And
illegitimate.
it
We're
was
going to
amazing.
prepare for the
In fact,
Civil
there
War.
were
I don't even know
articles
who
when I
what that
was
guy's name is, and I'm
which is
sure he's
hard
not
to believe,
important.
actually.
Well, they
But at
gamed
the
it
same
out
time,
when you
actually
look at what's
before
happened to our
January
country. Our
6th.
country
Last
is
time,
so
the
bad right
Democrats
now.
had
It's such a
gamed it
different
out
place.
if Trump
We were
won to where they were
respected.
going to
Think of
do a
it.
January
4
6th,
years ago, we
basically.
were
There was
so
a document
respected
that I can't
It's
to a
remember
just-
point where
it's just crazy
when
to
I
hear
said
them
don't
say
buy
it
oil,
out
they
loud.
didn't buy oil. But
It's
they
the
had
only
no
reason
money.
why
Yeah.
I want
and
him to
Israel
win
would have
is
never
because I
been
want
attacked.
because the
It's
longer he
zero
stays
chance.
in the game,
And again,
the
I said
more
to Vladimir
chances
Putin, I said,
people
don't do it.
have
You
the
can't do it,
opportunity to
Vladimir.
see
You do
that
it,
there's
it's
just a
gonna
bunch
be
of
bad
administrators
day.
that run our
You
country.
cannot do it. And
right.
I told him things that what I do, and he
I
said,
know.
And there is.
no way.
It's crazy
And I
how
said,
long some of
way.
these CIA
it's the last
agents,
time we ever
former
had the
CIA agents,
conversation.
intel agents
He
have
would
been in
he would
government.
never have done. I got along well with him.
50
I hope
years,
to get
some of
along
them.
Swap 'em
well
out
with him
with each
again.
president,
Getting along well with them.
Like, so
is a
goes
good
the
thing,
presidency,
not a bad
so
thing.
goes the
I got along
bureaucracy.
well with
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah, well,
Jobs. When I met
I was
with
talking to John
President
McAfee
Obama
a few years
just
ago,
before entering, it's
and
a sort
one
of
of
a
the things
ritual.
that he said,
And I
just from
sat down
his
with him and we talked. It was
interactions
supposed
with
to be
the
for a very
FBI
short
and
period of
other
time. It turned out to be a long period of time.
executive
I
agencies,
said, "What's the biggest
is that
problem?" He
the
said, "North
common
Korea." I had
they
that problem
essentially
worked out very
see
quickly. It
the
was nasty
president
at
as
the
like a
beginning with
transient.
Rocket Man and
They don't
Uh-huh.
see
all
them
the
as
different things.
anything
But
other than
all of a sudden,
someone
I
that's
got a
there
call.
for now.
All
We're
of-
going to
Were
do
some
what we
epic
want to
tweets,
do.
by the way.
Yeah,
We're
they
going
were,
to force
they
them
were
to do what
epic.
we
Everything.
Like a
He
spokesperson.
He said that he
Yeah,
has
and we'll
a
trick
red
them.
button.
We'll
on
trick
his
them or
desk. I said,
cajole them, or we'll
I
figure
have
out
a
a way
red
to
button
do it.
on my desk too, but my
like the
red
face of the
button is much
organization.
bigger, and my red button
If you
works.
don't go along with it,
And then I
they'll
called
take
him
them
Little
out.
Rocket Man. If
But
Little
yeah, they would.
Rocket
I forget
Man.
what the
Anyway,
word was
here's the
that
bottom
John
line. All
used,
of
but
a sudden, I got
it
a
was
call
something
from him,
along the lines of like
and they
transients.
said they want to meet.
Like
Do you
that
think
was how
McAfee's
we met,
dead?
Yeah.
as you remember, we met in
Yeah,
Singapore.
I
We
think so.
met also in Vietnam. And
Because otherwise he made a
I
whole
got
lot of
along with him
well.
great. We
yeah.
were in no
So
danger.
either he's not
But
dead,
President
and that's
Obama,
why we
President
haven't
Obama
seen
thought we were
the-
going to end up in a
yeah.
war, a nuclear
him
war.
trigger all
Yeah.
of
Let me
the
tell you,
the
he's got a lot of
documents,
yeah.
nuclear
whatever.
stuff too.
Either he's
He's
not
got
dead,
plenty
that's
of
not happened,
nuclear.
or he was
He
just
can
full
do
of shit
plenty
the
of
whole time.
damage.
And I actually
So-
lean in that
Yes,
direction.
I mean, because I mean, people like.
I mean, he
Kim-
did tell me
Kim
that
Jong-un, they respond to
he
strength,
did tell me
not weakness.
Well,
that
And-
he
and
and I got
if
he
you
and I
project
had a good
Epstein,
relationship.
Epstein was
you know,
gay,
Remember,
and so
I
there was no
remember
way
I
he
met
ever
him
touched
and
a
we
a
walked
Oh,
little
onto
girl.
his
okay,
land.
yeah.
Nobody ever
Yeah, he
walked
might
And I
be
was
gay.
like-
He probably doesn't
I
care.
walked onto. I wouldn't say. Let's bring
And
up
I was
Uncle
just
Turtis
like,
again. I wouldn't
that's
say they were
hilarious.
thrilled
Thank
when
you
I
for
did
telling
that. I
me
walked
that.
onto his land,
But where'd you get this
and
from?
it was
Did you know him
it
that
was
well?
an amazing
It's
period.
like, yeah.
But we
Don't
were not
ask
in
me how,
danger
but-
with him because of me.
He might
I
have.
always
Yeah.
Who
say
knows?
that
But
we have
Epstein is
enemies
gay
on
is
the
probably one of
outside,
the
and we have
my
enemies
favorite
on the
things I've
inside.
ever
We
been
have
told
some
on
really
a
bad
Zach
podcast.
people
says he
in our
has lib
government,
friends who actually
and
like
people
that everything
are,
is run
and
by
controlling
unelected
of the
administrators,
people.
and they don't mind
I mean, I
voting for the
mentioned names,
avatar
but
that
I
will
don't.
put.
Yes,
I really don't
that's
want
what
to
I
give
was
credit.
just saying.
But we have
That's
some really
exactly
bad,
what
and
I was
say
just
they're
saying,
more
and I have
dangerous
friends that
than
feel the same
Russia
way.
and China.
That's
If
been
you
like
do have
a Democrat line
smart
recently that
president,
like
a
you're not
president that
voting
gets
for
it,
Biden, you're
we are
voting
not
for his
in
team
danger
before
from
they
those
take him out.
countries
Which
because
is
they
fucking
need us and they
crazy
need our help.
that you would.
I mean, we forced
That's insane.
Obama. If you think
So
about it,
Kamala's the
Obama and
Indian or
Biden
blackface, depending
and
on where you
Bush to a
stand,
certain
of the
extent, in all
unelected
fairness, forced
administrators,
Russia
or perhaps Trump is, depending on what
China
your position is.
together.
Did you see that
And
video
if you're a
of
history
where
student,
someone
the first
asked
thing
her
you
what
learn
her
is you
favorite cuss
cannot
word
let
was?
Russia and
Oh, I
China
didn't.
align. But then
Starts
they
with
because she
an M
also
goes-
and
got,
it ends with yeah.
if you take a look,
Yeah, she goes, it
Iran
starts with an M and
and they
ends
have
with
North
an
Korea.
not an
That's, you know,
And
they
I was
call it
just
the
like, are you
axis
just
of
trying to
evil.
tell us that when
In
you
the old
use
days,
the
you had
N
the
word, you
axis
don't
of
use
evil.
the
Here
R?
we have a modern
Like,
day
what
axis of
you're
evil.
not a hard
These
R
are
kind of gal? Like, what are we
powerful
doing here?
countries, very heavy
interviewed
I'm a
nuclear.
hard R
Trump's
retard.
rally.
The biggest threat.
A bunch
You know,
of
the
black
biggest
guys
threat is
about
not
it.
Hard
just
R
the war,
retard.
where the
That
oceans
second
will
R
rise
retard.
one-eighth of
Really
an
hard
inch
R.
over the
Black
next
and I,
400
they did
years.
not.
The big, and
He
you'll
did
have
not
more.
like Kamala
You'll have
at
more
all.
oceanfront property, right? The biggest
Well,
threat
she is
not
just
that. The
she's
biggest
just
threat is nuclear
Hillary Clinton
warming.
on crack. Like
She
she's
really
we
kind
have
of
five
is.
She is
countries
very
now
similar
that have
to Hillary.
she's
significant
less
nuclear
likable
power,
than Hillary Clinton
and
somehow.
we
I
have to
can't
not
I can't wrap my
allow
mind around that being
anything
possible.
to happen with stupid people like
She
Biden.
gaslit
You know,
people into
Biden,
thinking she went from the most
did
unlikable
something with
politician.
there
like,
was no chance
documented
of him
in
ever going
polls
in. And when
you
I
know,
left, and then
to
after I left,
just
they started
the most
forming
likable person on the
big
planet.
armies on their
Do you
on the
remember
border
when we
with
watched
Ukraine, right?
the
And I looked at that,
Pence
and I thought he
Kamala
was doing that
debate
because Putin's a
together
good negotiator.
several
I thought
years
he was
ago,
doing that
Brad?
to
Yeah.
negotiate.
and I
But
said
then
she doesn't
Biden started
have
saying such
resting
stupid
bitch
things.
face. She
For
has a very
instance,
active
he
bitch
said
face.
that
Yeah,
uh,
right.
it
I
can
think
be
I
a
used a
NATO
different word, but
country.
I don't want want to say it. My children are around.
Russia for
face,
as long
maybe?
as there's been NATO,
I think
has said we're
probably
never
what I
going to
said.
agree to that. And we go right up front and say that. And we did things and said
Okay,
things
what
through
are they
this
talking
president
about
with a
now?
low
Let's see.
IQ,
It doesn't.
very low
I mean,
IQ.
I don't even know. At
He
this
had a low
point.
IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ
know,
at all.
I
They
had
have
high
no
hopes for
notes or
this.
something on the board.
But I think
Those
the
are slow.
lack of
He said things
I think
that
audio
were
only is not
so
how these two
stupid
are going to be best
that
represented.
that war
No,
would have been.
well, I think that's
That war
another
had
fault
zero
of,
chance of happening if I were there.
these
Zero
kind of
chance.
things
He was
is
saying
when you're
everything
able
the
to see the
opposite.
other person, you're able to
Everything the
draw
opposite.
more out of them
And it's
because
so
they see
sad
your body.
because
I remember
many
one
more
time,
people
I
have been
forget
killed
who
in
it
Ukraine
was,
than you read
but I
about. You
did
don't read
a
about how bloody
podcast,
it
and
is
they
in
actually ended up being
Afghanistan.
afraid
Hey, look,
afterwards,
just in
but
the two
they
armies,
did
they
not
lost
do
a half a
video.
million people.
And so the whole time, this is
And
someone I've never talked to
and
before, someone
Ukraine's
I've
having
never
hard
met.
time.
And the whole time
Ukraine,
I'm
I don't know
like,
if you
who is
saw
this
the
guy?
article
Right.
Is he
recently,
going to try to
and
screw
you don't
me?
hear
Is
the
he going
true
to
story.
do
I know
something
who you're talking
weird?
about.
If you think
Yeah.
about
You know,
it,
and then afterwards
Russia's
it ended
gone,
up being
you know,
fine.
Russia
But like
defeated Germany with
the
us,
video
and they
or it being
defeated
in person
Napoleon.
is
You know, they've been
night
around
and
a
day
long
better
time.
for
They're a big
conversation.
fighting force,
Yeah. So
and
Like,
it's
nice to
very
meet you,
unfair.
and I can see your
Ukraine now
face. I know what you look
doesn't
like.
have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to
So
fight,
threatening.
and we're in a very bad
Everyone
position.
in this is threatening.
And I'm
At
not going
least
to blame
to the order.
exclusively, but I can tell you,
And
I
it makes
could have
it
stopped
easier
that,
for
and
people
a
to
smart
believe it's
president could have
some
stopped
sort of
that. It
AI
wouldn't have
thing.
happened.
If it's
But we
even
had
though they
we
can
had
do
a
that with
man that
video
actually
also,
made
but
it.
if it's audio only,
It made it more
definitely
prevalent.
it's gonna
It was so
make people
bad.
wonder whether or
The
not
words that he was
This
using,
is the worst Shane
the
Gillis
stupid
performance I've
threats
ever heard.
coming from a stupid face that he was using.
You
I
just call
said,
it
this
coming
guy's
from a
going to cause
stupid
us a
face.
war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you,
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
lead
No,
to
he said
World War
someone didn't
III.
even have an
That
IQ
can lead to
anymore.
World War III. The Middle East can lead
He's
to.
talking about
We have
Biden.
numerous places that could end up in
Yeah.
a World War III right now for no reason
No,
whatsoever.
I think you're right. I think people underrate the risk of World War III, and it's just
They
you know,
underrate it.
when
It's not
looking at the
highly
risk
rated.
of global thermonuclear warfare, it's game over for humanity.
Low rated.
And you know, it's something that people have, I think,
Many such
after the
cases.
end of the Cold War, people have become complacent about, but they actually have forgotten that there are currently a lot of nuclear missiles that have targeting parameters for the United States, for other
100%.
countries.
And one of the
This
things we're going to
smells
do
to
is we're going to
me
build an Iron Dome
of
over us. You
someone
know,
who's
Israel has
trying to
it.
push you away
We're going to have
from
the best Iron
concept and
Dome in the world. We need it, and we're going to
the
make it
reality
all
that
in the
this is an
United States.
information
But we're going to have protection.
like talk about the
Because it
nuclear
just takes one
stuff that's going to
maniac to,
happen.
you know, start
Don't talk
something. We're
about
going to
how
have
we're both
protection, and we're going to have. Why shouldn't we have an
propagandizing
Iron Dome?
hardcore
Israel
right
has one. Some other places
Yeah.
have one that nobody even knows about.
because
Frankly.
we're not
But,
dealing with nukes.
Israel
We're
has it. We're
dealing
going to
with
have an Iron Dome.
information.
But
That
you
is
know,
where
with all of that being
the
said,
war
to me
is
that's so important.
what we were
the
talking
most
about earlier
important.
about Zach.
But with all of that being
and
said,
the cyber
the election's
hacking
coming up,
DDoS,
and the people
that's
want to hear about the
actually,
economy.
I think, for the
And the
future
fact
warfare.
that they
Absolutely
can't
true.
buy groceries
Yeah.
because they don't
Well,
have
it's
enough
like
money to buy
look at
groceries.
they talked about
The inflation has killed them.
October 7th
Food prices are up
for
50,
a
60,
couple
even
minutes.
100%
What was
in
happening?
some cases.
But
And this stupid
yeah, I have
administration
no idea.
allowed this
But
to happen.
no, they were
And
talking
it's a
about
shame.
that, and it's funny because
And
if you
that's the
scroll
thing that people
TikTok,
most care about,
you'll
in my
see
opinion. They care
people
about the border a lot.
complaining about
And we
Israel and
discussed
their
the border at great
propaganda.
length.
And
It's
then
nice to have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
see
forum
the
like
next
this
the
where I
next
can
video
discuss
is them
something
talking about
at
Hamas
length.
and their propaganda.
By the way,
What-
do you think
it's
Biden
It's
the
both
could do
sides.
this
I don't believe
interview? Do you
anything that
think
comes from
that
either side
Kamala
of
could
that.
do this
Right.
interview? They
But
would
what
take
is
a
it that
pass
they
from
call
you.
it? They call it like
So
Holly
they don't need
Holly
Elon. They don't need Elon
Pallywood.
screaming out
That's what it was.
questions.
Because Palestine is just Hollywood.
It's pretty
Oh,
sad
It's
yeah.
just
when you
propaganda
think
that they're
that
doing.
somebody that does
It's like
this
you're
for a living
both
can't
both
answer a
sides,
question or is
both of
afraid
you,
to
and I
do an
hate both
interview.
sidings, but
And
it's
in her
like
case,
they're
with a
both
very
running
friendly interview,
hardcore
she's got all friendly
propaganda.
interviewers.
It's the information.
But-
Yeah,
right?
But the
absolutely.
big
have
thing
a
now is
government
hold on
without
to
a
Elon.
propaganda
And as much as
wing.
Yeah.
I mean,
in
I view
today's
nuclear
world.
as the
Yeah.
single
You
most
have to.
important thing, but a lot of people don't. A lot
There's
of
no
people
way you're
don't
gonna.
understand that.
You
But
have.
it doesn't have
They're
to.
all
If
manipulating
I
us.
understand it, that's all you
Yep.
need. Because if I was president,
Guys,
you're not going to have
I
that
gotta
kind of
go.
a problem. But
Ian, thanks for
the
joining.
thing that they really
I appreciate you
making
hanging
them
out,
angry
man.
is
Cam, it
what
was good seeing you. It's
Kamala
been quite a
and
long
Biden
time, man.
have allowed
Yeah.
to happen to the
Been a
economy.
minute.
It's
Yeah.
a disaster.
Ian, I'm
with
gonna do it again
inflation.
tomorrow. Not
The
Yeah,
this
we're gonna do it
time,
again
the live
tomorrow,
stream.
man.
It doesn't matter
All
what
right,
you
man. I'll
make.
talk to you
The
soon.
I'll talk to you
inflation
later.
is eating
All
you
right,
alive.
later,
If
man.
you're a worker or if you're a
Can you turn
just
him down a
a
little
middle
bit?
I'm
income
trying
person,
to.
you can't afford.
I
You know,
can't see a
4
way to
years
do
ago,
that
5 years
on,
ago, people were saving a
on
lot of
X. I've
money.
been trying to do that.
Today, they're
since-
using
well, can
all
you do
their
it
money
on
and borrowing money just to live.
StreamYard? There
It's,
should be
it's
like
a horrible
little
thing
Right.
that's happening.
thing
And
underneath
we'll end
it
that
where
way.
you
I
can
think
turn down a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends
lets me
far more
mute
than
it.
it brings in, that increases the money supply.
Mm.
And if the
Get
money
into
supply
the
increases
actual
faster
thing.
than the rate of goods and services,
right.
that's
I'm
inflation.
gonna,
used to be
I'm
able
gonna
to
mute
do
it
it.
for a
So-
second.
So really,
and
we need to have.
I'll try to mute
we
it.
need to reduce.
Wait, I
And
still
we need
hear
to
it. It didn't work.
re-examine.
It's
I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we
you can
spending money
request
that's
to
sensible?
speak.
Where is it not sensible?
Right.
And
I
we
want
need
to
to live within
speak.
our means. We're currently
I
adding,
requested to
I
speak.
think, $1 trillion
Well, it's
to
so
the
like one of the
deficit
things I mentioned about the
every
whole propaganda
roughly every
thing
100
is
days.
That's
I
right.
haven't talked about
And
propaganda in a
you know,
minute
the
because I
interest
haven't been
payments
talking
on the
to
national
you
debt
on
are
live
now
streams in a
exceed the
minute.
Yeah.
defense budget.
But
It's on the order of $1
So
trillion.
one of the
It's
things that I
interest.
saw
And it's-
was
and it
like
keeps-
the
it keeps
Candace
growing.
I
Owens
rebuilt our military,
interview
largely
with some
rebuilt our military,
rabbi.
did a great
I
job
couldn't
on
tell
it,
you the name
which
of the
was so
rabbi.
important. You know, we had jets, we had
But
fighters
one
that
of the
were
things that he
and
kept
bombers that were
saying
70
was like,
years old.
"Will
And
you
we
watch
did
a
a great job in
screening
that.
of this
Then we, by the way,
documentary that's just the videos of the atrocities from October 7th? Will you
35 billion.
just watch that?"
You know, they're
Yeah,
one of the
I saw
largest
that
sellers
too.
of
But
military equipment in
like,
the world. They're
and
selling what we
people
gave
were
them.
getting mad saying when they
That
said it
was
was
one of the
propaganda.
most
It is. That's what
embarrassing
propaganda
days in the
is.
history of our
Right.
country.
Propaganda
But
is taking
if you think about,
a
let's
thing
go
that you
back
can
to
show
the
people, and then
economy.
using.
We have to bring energy
Yeah.
prices
Well, yeah,
down. Energy
okay, yeah.
started at
Undefined
the
JB
price
says,
of
I actually think Trump is
gasoline.
steamrolling Musk.
Now your
Absolutely.
cars don't require too much gasoline.
That's why I say
so,
he's
you know,
bad at
you're-
this.
you
He
have a
shouldn't
good,
have a podcast.
and you do make a great
because
product. I have to say,
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
to
that's
be
all
honest
this
with you.
is.
That doesn't mean
There was
everybody
one
should have an electric
podcast
car,
that I ever
but
did
these
that
are minor
had
details.
that
But your
happened on,
product is
and it
incredible.
never
But
got put on my
but the
website.
gasoline, Elon, is
right.
It never got put out
the
because
cost of
I
energy.
had a
Not
guy
only
who was
gasoline,
who
it's the
was
cost of heating
kind
your
of
house
rolling
and
over
cooling
me
your
the whole
house.
time, and I was just
That
I got to
has
the
to
end,
come
and he was
down.
like, "Hey, I
It's
guess we're
gone up
coming to the end of this," and I
100%,
was like, "Yeah."
150, and
And he was
200%.
like, "So, do you want me to plug things?" And I was like, "You don't need to. This is not going anywhere."
Baby drill. You know, they
Right.
stopped drilling,
Baby
and then
drill.
I was
they
trying
went
to
back
put the
drilling
captions on and mute
because
it.
they went back to the Trump
Can you
policy.
put captions
But if
on?
they won
Yeah,
the
it just
day
allowed you
after
to
they
show
get into
captions,
office,
but let's see if
we're
it
gonna
actually does it.
this country will
One of
go
my
out
favorite
of
things to
business
do
because
lately,
they're
I
going to go
showed
to
the
an energy
captions, but it's not
policy
doing anything.
that's not
One
sustainable.
of my favorite things to do
Wind
is play
and
the
different
captions
things.
on a Joe Biden interview.
You're not going to have anything.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big fan of the AI.
It just says Wookiee noises.
And I have to
Yeah,
say
Yeah.
that
Joe Biden's
AI,
defeated the
and
captions.
this is shocking to me, but AI
talking
requires
about
twice
AI.
the energy that the country already produces for everything. So
What?
you're going to have to build. We're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary.
So Trump's all
competitor
about
for the-
now in his
on
in
the
his
AI.
speech, the things
You're
what
gonna
I've seen,
need a
because I
lot
went
of
to the Bitcoin
electricity.
conference
You're going to
and
need
saw him at
tremendous
libertarian things, saw him here in
electricity, like
Atlanta. It's all about we
almost
need to
double
beat
what
China
we
in
produce
AI,
now
and we
for
need
the
to
whole
beat China
country, if you
in
can believe it.
Bitcoin. Because they're going to do it, so
Sure.
let's do it. I think that's what
Well,
they're
just
talking about.
going, back to this.
Well, he's
like,
just talking about the energy
this
sector,
basic thing,
which
which
is
that
such a
people try to
crazy
make it sound
conversation
complicated,
to
but it's
have.
not. But inflation is caused by
Because
government
Right.
overspending.
how do you have that conversation
Would you agree that
without talking
we need
about
to take a
nuclear?
look at government
Yes.
spending?
Or
Right.
the fact that
and
if
I think
everyone
I'm
got
government
a
efficiency
Tesla right
together.
now,
Yeah.
that our
that
system couldn't handle it.
just tries
Mhm.
to make the spending sensible, and so the country
Like,
lives within its means, just like
with
just like a person
The
without
does.
waste
fossil
is
fuels,
incredible,
there are no
and
there's no
nobody
Tesla
negotiates
It is.
prices.
And
succeeding in
that's
any way.
You
that's
used
one
to have a
thing they
lot of
haven't.
people
I don't
making
think they've
jets,
talked
and you
about
end up
yet
with two
together.
companies, and they'll
So
probably
Trump
try
has
and
changed his
merge at some
messaging
point.
towards.
I mean, I
You know, he
watched
used to be
through it.
against
Like Air Force, just
electric
a thing
cars.
like
To
Air
you know,
Force
some
One.
people
One of
can
the
have
first
electric
documents
cars
they
because
asked
of
me to
Musk is
sign in
supporting
General
them.
Works. Sir, would you
Yeah.
please sign this document? And what is it? Air Force One. That's with Boeing, which is basically two planes, two 747s. And the price
Do you
was
like-
747.
$5.7
Is he
billion
slowly
for
becoming
two
Daffy
planes.
Duck?
Now,
Well,
now they're
what
highly
he
sophisticated.
sounds like. This is why I
They're
think
even
there's some
nicer
sort of
than your
filter
plane, okay, but much more
on his
sophisticated. They're very.
mic.
I won't
He
say
sounds
what's
like
on
he
it, but
has
they got a lot of
braces
stuff on it.
and
Anyway,
headgear.
but
Like,
it's
he tried to
5.7.
suck out the background
That's-
noise,
that's
but
a crazy
It's a
enhance
number.
crazy
his
number, but I said I'm not
audio,
going to pay
so it's picking up
5.7.
the
I'm not going to
saliva
do it.
sounds.
I said, who made the
Suffering
deal? Obama
fuckotash.
and his people. I
Yeah.
said, well, then I know the deal's no good. I'm not going to
I
do
can't.
it.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
let me.
over a course of about 4
I've been
weeks,
trying to
by my
all
saying
kinds of
I'm not
different
going to
ways to
do
like
it,
lower the
I
audio
got the
from
price
them. And it's
reduced
just
by
not.
$1.6
See
billion
if I can.
It's
for the
not letting me
exact
do
same
it.
plane, other than we had a nicer paint
Let's
job, if you want to
see.
know the truth.
A
But for the
nicer paint
exact
job.
same plane, I saved
You
one.
What
and
do
I
you
said
think
to
of
Boeing,
Vance,
man, you
Cam?
guys must make a lot of money if you can reduce the price by that.
I
But
don't
now
think
what
of
I do hear
Vance.
is that
Yeah,
they're
I
going
don't, I
back
don't
to
like Vance all that
the
much
Do me a
either.
favor.
Biden
Send me
administration and wanting big
because
cost
I don't
overruns,
have it on this
because they see
device,
these
but I used to be
dopey
able to get into the
suckers in there,
StreamYard and tweak
and they'll
things.
end up
Send you the
getting
what?
some of the money back. But I
Text me
saved it by
the
$1.6 billion
password
for the exact same plane.
so I can see if I
And
can
you
figure it
can
out on
now
my end.
take that and multiply that out times
It's like
thousands of other
Exactly.
items.
you're still on there
Multiplied
as
by
Yeah,
a
the
an
zillion.
numbers
administrator,
are
so you should be able to get in.
astronomical. I agree
Oh,
with
did I
you.
use my email? Okay, yeah, that makes
Well,
sense then.
I mean, if so, I mean,
Let's see.
I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look
The Government
at these things
Efficiency
and
Commission.
just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. And I'd be happy to help out on such a commission.
I'd love
if
it.
it were formed.
Well, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, "You want to quit?" They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike, and you say, "That's okay. You're all gone.
Talking
You're all
about
gone."
cutting
So every
people
one
from
of you is gone,
jobs
and
that are
you are the
unnecessary.
greatest. You would be very good. Oh, you would love it. But you know, if you
You
look
would
at
love firing
Argentina,
all these
Well, I'd be
people.
happy to
yeah.
help
By the way,
out.
congratulations! I
Yeah.
just looked at the number of people that are listening to you and I chat. We'll call it a
There
chat.
you said it again. I
But
knew it.
Yeah.
congratulations! This is very good. I mean, it's great. It's and you're an interesting character. You know, the new head of a place called Argentina, and he's a big. You
Malay's
know,
awesome.
he's great, and
Yeah.
he's a big MAGA fan. You know that he ran on MAGA, and he took it to an extreme too. He ran on MAGA, and I hear he's doing really a terrific job. It's called Make Argentina Great Again. It worked out perfectly. He came in, he bought a lot of hats, he brought everything, but he's doing a big job. He really cut. And I'm hearing
Yeah.
they're starting to do pretty well. Inflation's getting down. You know, they had like
Yes,
2,000%. And they had inflation like not normal inflation. They had the real deal. But we're going to
Yeah.
have that pretty soon. I think we
Yeah.
have the worst inflation we've had in 100 years.
Well,
They
that's
say it's 48 years.
yeah.
I don't
Inflation's
believe
terrible.
it. I think we have the worst. They
Yeah.
don't include a lot of the items that should be included. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's just from government overspending and not spending taxpayer money
Yeah.
effectively, and having just like so many departments you can't even name them all, and what Malay is doing is he's cutting government spending, he's simplifying things, he's putting in regulations that make sense, and we're
Oh, shit,
Argentina
sorry.
overnight is experiencing
There are
a
not as
giant
many
improvement
options
That's
as there
in
right.
used to be. That's
prosperity.
crazy.
But it's also a lesson for the United States, which is that
So
Argentina
efficiency.
used to be one of the most prosperous countries in
Argentina.
the world.
What's going on in
Um,
Argentina? Is that
in
the
I think in the 30s,
libertarian
40s,
guy? I can't remember.
and
Yeah,
because of
I
bad
think
government
so.
policy,
I
it ruined
guess
the
he's
country.
libertarian in some ways.
And if you take Venezuela, for
It's
example,
kind
Venezuela
of.
should be incredibly prosperous. They have
Yeah, I went to the
phenomenal
Libertarian National Convention camp. I've never
reserves
seen so many
of
feds in my
everything,
life.
oil, everything, and it
How is
should
the
be
smell?
prosperous. But if the government's wrong,
Smelled very
it
fetty.
impoverishes the people.
By the end of the time
I
that
think
we were
should
there, I was walking
not be
around going,
complacent in the United
"Hey, there's
States
that
and thinking
Fed.
and
There's
taking
that
our
other Fed.
prosperity for
Where did that
granted,
other Fed go?
because
There was always with those
bad
feds.
government
It was just
policy,
so
we can run the country into the ground.
blatant feds
And
everywhere."
that's just something people should bear in mind. Don't take prosperity for granted.
And
Well,
Josh was
think of
dressing up as Trump.
education. So we're ranked at the bottom
He
of
was
every
there for
list
that.
of the
Yeah.
top 40.
We also went to the
We're ranked
Bitcoin
number
conference
40,
in
number
Nashville
38.
a couple weeks ago, and I was dressed as Secret
Norway,
Service, and he was Trump, and I was very poorly
Switzerland,
protecting
Sweden, different
the whole
countries are
time
ranked
we were there.
good. Actually, China's pretty close to the top. They're a top 6 or 7. But we're
6 or
ranked at the
7.
bottom, almost at the bottom. 38,
It does sound like the
39,
list. It
40.
sounds like
Almost
In
at
other
the
words,
bottom.
horrible.
sounds
And
like a
yet we
kid
spend
who's
more per
gonna
pupil than any other
like
country
this
in the
like
world.
the
So we
younger
spend more.
kid in
And
Christmas
what I'm going
Story.
to do, one of the first acts, and
Or
this is
Cindy
where I
Brady,
need an
who is a
Elon
huge
Musk.
Trump
I
fan,
need
by the
somebody
way.
that has
Cindy
a lot of
Brady.
strength
She really
and
is. She
courage and
used to be a
smart.
radio host in
I want
LA.
to
Loves
close up
Trump.
Department of Education, move education back to
You
the
mean
states,
Cindy?
where
Yeah.
where
Cindy.
states like Iowa, where states like Idaho,
It
you know,
sounds so
Iowa.
not
funny.
every state will do
States
great.
like
Because
Iowa,
states that basically
Iowa.
aren't doing good now. You
China.
look at Gavin Newsom, the governor of
Newsom.
California.
Gavin
He's
Newsom.
terrible. He does a terrible job.
I don't
So
know if
he's
that was
not
an
gonna do
accident,
great
but it
with
was a good one.
education. But of the
Yeah.
50, I would bet that 35 would do great, and 15
Yeah.
of them, or 20 of
Talking
them
about the
will be as
governors.
good as Norway. Norway's considered great.
All those
You
blonde
name 'em,
women.
I mean, they're so good. Some
Yeah.
of these
So
countries
pretty.
are so good.
So
But
pretty.
if you go into some of these really
Yeah.
well-run states, we have states that don't know what debt is. We have states that have
Debt. I
low
think you said debt at
taxes,
first.
no debt. Everybody
They
works.
won't die.
They're really well run.
Sure.
And maybe they have certain advantages
Which
in terms
states?
of
Tell me which
location, in
states
terms
you're
of
talking
the
about.
land or the sun and the water and the whole thing. There are a lot of
Did you
advantages.
see
that
Jesse
some people have.
Ventura
But
has
if
come
you
out? He's
move
supporting Kamala.
education back to the 50, you'll have some that won't do well.
He said
but
it.
you'll
He
have-
wants to
but
see a
they'll
woman
actually be
president in his
forced to do
lifetime.
better,
And
because
he
it'll
only
be
has a
pretty
few more
bad
elections left.
situation.
The guy
But
who
if
did
you
the
think about it,
conspiracy
you'll have
show
some of these states,
pointing out
I'll
all
bet you'd have
the
30, 35
what was
states.
it, the
It'll be
coffins
much better. And
that they were going to
it'll
use for
cost
the
less
bodies
than half
for Agenda
what
2030
it
with
is
Alex
in-
Jones
in,
years ago.
Washington. And
Yeah.
these people don't care
Well,
about
yeah.
the students in these,
He was
faraway
a
states.
wrestler
And
too.
it
Donald
will be,
Trump,
it'd be unbelievable.
wrestler.
Yeah.
Wrestler, yeah.
I think you're making a good
well
point
known
in that,
WWE
the
guy.
states have to if each state has
think
to
somebody
compete
had
against other states, then people will naturally
right.
move to states where it's better.
Well, like California, as we said, it's a badly run state. I could go through. I got so many friends that are in those states, even if they're Democrats. I
So I
hate
guess
to
you're talking about
mention
states'
certain
rights
states,
or
but
something.
Illinois is badly run with Pritzker. He's a real loser. But
Yeah.
some of these places are just badly run. But it's almost going to force them to run better.
COVID
and they
broke
won't
Jesse's
do good
brain,
at
says
initially.
Steve.
But you're not going to do worse than you're doing right now. And I would say that
Yeah.
the cost, you would cut your cost by 50 or 60%. And you'd have a little
Yeah, yeah.
monitor. You want to make sure they're teaching English as an example. Give us
We're
a
talking
little
about
English,
education
right?
now.
Sure,
Right.
yeah. No, but I mean, too much. I mean, some of these governors are doing so badly. I mean, they got so many people moving out of their state. They should get U-Haul Salesman of the Year award.
What's crazy to me is these people like Elon.
It's actually
And,
amazing.
people moving out.
Isn't it amazing to you as a
there have been
businessman
several
that
examples,
they can even
but like
survive? Like
people
Illinois.
who
So many people
Dave
are
Rubin,
leaving, and you wonder how do
they're
they
like,
survive?
oh, I
I
hate
mean, how do
California.
they
I don't want to be in
survive?
California anymore. Let me
I
move
saw
to
where
a
you left
freer place.
California,
Yeah.
And then they
and
go
you moved to Texas.
They're like, let's
Texas
go to
does a great
Texas.
job.
Let's go to Florida.
But, I mean, I just
And
wonder,
they go
how do
to
these states
freaking
survive
Austin, Texas,
when big
where
businesses,
which is
it's like
liberal.
the big oil companies,
super
just
liberal and
California,
horrible,
and they moved to
and
Texas.
has all
How
of the
do these big
problems that
states
California
survive
has. Or they go to
when they
Miami,
lose
which is
so many
the same
businesses,
thing.
and
Like,
their taxes are already really high.
why are we?
The taxes are among the
It's
highest.
almost it almost feels like
You
a
almost
lie.
wonder, how
Like,
do they-
let me
How do
legitimize
they
me
continue
getting
on?
out
And
of this
in many
terrible
cases,
thing,
the governors
but then
don't
let's
do a
go
good
and take
job,
this
and they're
over
crime
to the
ridden.
I'm not a
worst
Dave
part
Rubin fan.
You
of a
wonder,
better
how do they
state.
continue to
Who
just
is?
go on?
Is anybody?
It's not
Well,
a good
I
Bill
think there's-
Maher, I think.
I mean, I think the thing that's
I remember the other day
forced
that Bill
some of
Maher
these states to
mentioned me and
change is
quoted
I
that
know,
they
it on
went
the show.
bankruptcy
that's
and
what
then
I'm
getting
saying,
bailed
yeah.
out by the federal
Right.
government.
Right. Well,
I
That's
forgot
you're gonna
about
have
that until
that.
the
get
other
them
day.
changed.
you remember the area in California where they had that, where I guess somebody had sticky fingers and they stole a lot of money, and they went into a form of chapter. And it
Form
was
of
very
chapter.
nasty
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a period of time, but now it's probably the most popular place in all of California.
Probably a
So-
lot of sticky
so,
fingers in
at some
California.
point, something like
Another
that may
sticky
have
things.
to happen. But the problem is, you can't penalize people that loan money to the state when you have incompetent people like a Pritzker. Look, the family didn't want him in the family business, and then he ends up being governor of
So he
Illinois.
probably
So,
has-
what is he going to be?
you know,
is he going to be a great
Actually,
governor?
I can't. He's
And,
had people
you
listening to
have
this thing.
people, I could
Surely
name every one
somebody
of
has
them. I got to know
texted and
every one
said,
of
you
these,
sound
and
like
some
you're
are
wearing
very
a
good, and some are
headgear.
just horrible.
And you're in a Christmas story right now
Well, I
with
think
that
that, I
list.
mean, the larger point here, too, as you're saying, like a lot of people are concerned about the economy, a lot of people are concerned about inflation, and inflation is effectively a tax on people that
Inflation
save
is
money
awful.
and
It is
people that
awful.
are
It's
working day to
awful.
day.
But
Can't
it's
go to the
like,
grocery
you know,
store.
It's just a
you
form of
look at
taxation. And
all
if
of
we can
the
solve the government spending problem, we'll solve the
solutions
inflation
that-
problem, which means people will have a better
especially
standard of living.
Kamala,
and
like she had said
that's a really
something
big
Well, the
deal.
people that got
recently
hurt
about how
worse
she was
are
going to
the
bring it
people
down by
that
price
did it
controls
the way they were taught to
for
Right.
do it
groceries.
all through.
And then she also,
their
like
younger
several,
life and
I want
their-
to say a couple
their
months
young
ago,
life
or
and
maybe it
their
was even
whole
a
life.
shorter time period,
The people that
Trump said
saved
something
money,
about not
and then they
taxing
got no
tips.
interest on
And
their
everyone
money,
on
and
CNN
inflation
was talking about
destroyed
how
them.
terrible and
And
stupid of an
frankly,
idea
they
this
were
is.
almost
And
better
now
off if they
it's a
didn't do
stunt.
anything like that.
Yeah.
And
And
those
then
people have been
Kamala just comes
absolutely
out with that the other
decimated.
day.
And
And
now
we're going
they
to bring
act
those
like
people back and
today
help
they were
those
saying
people. We've got
Trump's
to get
accusing
the prices
Kamala
down.
of stealing his
When
idea
I
for
look at
taxing
bacon
tips.
costing 4 or 5 times more than it did a few years
Sure.
ago.
That's her
When-
only
when you
policy
look at some of the
position so
food
far is
products
the one
in
that
grocery stores,
that
people
Trump
go,
has
they
been
can't
saying.
believe it. They used to be able to buy a whole
Daffy
cart,
Duck
and
ass
today,
space.
a lot of people just don't have the money. They go in and they can't buy anything. They look at
Yeah.
it's sticker
I
shock.
think
They
it-
call it
yeah.
sticker shock, right?
I think it really.
Yeah, so
like I said, I think
spaces
this
are
comes down
weird.
to-
Like
to-
they are
I guess it's
conversational.
really two things,
Trump
which
is probably his
is
first
that if
space,
you
I would
solve
imagine, and
government
he's
overspending,
for him
you
it's
solve
just
inflation, which
just like an
improves living
interview.
standards of the average person, and then if,
Well, did you
if
see the picture of him on the
deregulate, like have
space?
sensible regulations.
I
So-
tweeted it
because
a
a lot of the
little bit
regulations
ago.
are nonsensical. and
Oh, him, was
cause,
that really him where he
the
was looking
costs
over
to
the
be
phone?
extreme for no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
Allegedly,
And
yeah.
but unless you've got effective deregulation,
Like-
like
Well,
Reagan
that
did-
because
did a
I
great job of
wondered if he was doing it
deregulation
on
in
the
the
cell
80s,
phone
but it's
because
been 40 years
It looks
since we
like he
had-
is.
had
Right.
anyone really-
Josh comes
I mean,
in on the
during
cell
your
phone all the
administration,
time,
we
and
made some
his
progress,
audio
but I
sounds
think,
jacked, and he's playing
the
Trump.
opportunity to make
When he comes
radical
in,
progress
so I was like,
with
that sounds like it's on a
sensible
cell phone
regulation.
with some sort of filter.
And
Yeah.
I'm
if
sure mine
Well,
sounds
Elon,
awful
we-
right now. I'm on,
those two
on
things,
an iPad.
yeah.
I mean, your
Those are
sound.
big
It's
deals.
We
it's.
set a
I mean,
record. We did
iPhones
more
can sometimes sound
deregulation
fine.
and more
Do I sound like Daffy Duck?
restrictions on
No, you
all
sound
of the
fine
different
to me.
businesses than any
Damn
other
it.
president. Remember, I
Yeah,
had the
if you're
rule
trying
for
going for Daffy
everyone we
Duck,
put in, you
you're
have
not
to get
getting there
rid of
yet, but you
10
sound
or
fine.
12. And we
That's
did
what Josh should do on
radical
the next
cuts
one is
on all
just
of that,
do a
and a
straight
lot
up
of that's
Daffy Duck
being put
impression the
back
whole
by
time.
this administration.
He
And we
could. He
did
should
radical
have a
cuts of
lisp
things
for the
that
next
weren't
time we get him
necessary.
on.
But we were all set. You know, we had the best
All
economy
set.
You know, I
ever
had him
made in the
interrupt
world.
the
And then
libertarian.
what
Did I
happened
tell you
is
this?
COVID
I had him interrupt the
and we had to
libertarian
focus
debate that
on
I
that,
moderated.
and nobody knew what it
Oh
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I always say I got
They,
good marks on economy, good marks
oh,
on
I asked
military. We knocked out ISIS. We
Zach
did
and
so
Jake
many
and those
different
guys
things. We rebuilt.
who asked
But
me
you
to
know,
moderate
I
it
never
if
got the credit that we
I could
really
get Josh to
deserved on
interrupt
what
it
we
as
did
Trump at
with
some point.
with
And they were
COVID.
like,
We
yeah,
never
yeah,
got the
cool.
credit.
And so I
But
was like, all right. And so we had Josh come in at the end of it.
Had
And
that not
he interrupted
happened, the
it,
gift
and we
from
were very
China,
nervous about how it
from
would go, but it
Wuhan,
went very well. It was very funny.
came in from
Nice.
Wuhan, the Wuhan labs, and I
Wuhan.
always said it, and it turned out to be right. But had that not
Always said it.
happened, we were set to start reducing debt. We were going to reduce taxes further. I gave the largest tax cuts, and we were going to reduce taxes still further for middle income people, not only businesses. But we did it for
I wish
businesses
there was
because they're the
video of
ones
this
that.
also.
That's why we had the great job numbers.
It
But
should have
we
been
were
like
Then
a
you'd
set to
FaceTime.
really start
Then you'd see
reducing debt.
his
And you know, we're sitting
Invisalign.
on the biggest pile
Right.
of liquid gold anywhere in the world, bigger
Hey,
than
then he could have
Saudi
been
Arabia, bigger than
Invisalign's
Russia.
the best to
And
straighten
we
out
were
my
going to drill,
teeth. I
and we
like
were going to
cooking
make so
Kamala's
much money.
teeth.
We were going to supply Europe with oil. I had stopped the Russian pipeline, and we were going to supply them with oil and gas. We were going to make a fortune. And
You know
then
what Trump's
the COVID came in.
they're trying to make him look old
had to-
now.
We really had
even
to
though
divert. Then what
This
happened
isn't
is when
helping.
they came in. You
Do
know,
what?
we kept
This
a
is
lot
not
of businesses
helping.
alive. If I didn't
No,
do what
this
we
isn't.
did,
But
we
if it
would
were
have had a
video,
1929
it would be helpful because
But
he's
the
doing
problem
things
is when
that
Biden came
don't
in,
that aren't
he got
scripted.
trillions of dollars and just
you know,
started spending
Kamala
it
won't go do
stupidly.
an
He
interview.
didn't need it anymore.
So
we
Trump,
got over that
after one of the
bad
things
period
Biden
where
did
it
that was like
everybody
5 minutes
was
long, he came out and did like an
dying
hour and a half,
and,
just
you know, it was just
taking
not a good
questions
period.
or something. and,
Interestingly, you know, during his
it's going to get to the point where
administration,
they have Trump like
many more
standing on a
people
box
died
on one
during his
leg taking
administration of
questions
COVID
for like 45
than during
minutes
my
just to
administration,
show
and we really got the
comparatively
brunt of it.
to what
But people don't
Kamala's
realize
doing or
more
a Trump
people died
impersonator.
during his administration than ours. But it diverted us from doing what I wanted to do. But we had the greatest for almost 3 years. We had the
Yeah.
great, and you know that probably better than
Slurpy
anybody.
Don,
So
says
many of
Danny
your friends said to me,
Polishuk
the
is the
best
nickname.
years we've ever had in business.
So the media is going to say he's
were during
slurring.
the
They're going
Trump
to say
years.
that he's
and
maybe
also
he's
said that
some sort of
African
cognitive thing.
American, Hispanic
That's my guess
American
anyway.
were so incredible.
But
They were having the best Asian
I've
American
edited
women,
stuff where I've
men,
run it through filters,
young people without a
and
diploma,
it can
young
make
people
anybody
that
sound like
graduated
they're
from the
slurring
best
because it's happened
colleges,
to me before.
from MIT,
I
from
think
the
that
Wharton School, from all of the great colleges,
I think they're
Harvard.
focused on
They were
sucking the
doing better,
background
and
noise out
people
because he's
without a
around a lot
diploma
of
were
people
doing
making
better.
noise,
And everybody was
and they're trying to
was
hone
happy.
in
And then
on
COVID
those
came, and
vocals
we
coming
had
out
a-
of
we
his
had-
mouth,
The
and I
problem
think
is
it's
they
picking
spent
up.
trillions and trillions of dollars they
Slurping,
wasted.
or maybe he's
They shouldn't
hammered.
have taken
Even though he
any
says he
money,
doesn't
and we
drink.
wouldn't be having inflation right now, which is
Would be-
killing our
oh,
country.
he would have.
Yeah.
He would have
Yeah,
cured
absolutely.
inflation
I
entirely.
should probably say something about maybe
Yeah.
my views on
Wow.
climate change
Yeah.
and oil
Oh,
and
climate
gas.
change. There's a disagreement,
Because
maybe.
I think it probably
Call
different from
climate
what most
change gay.
people would assume. Because my
Well,
views
I'm
are
not
actually pretty,
gay.
I think, moderate in this regard, which is that I don't
It's
think we
faggy.
should vilify the oil and gas industry and the people that have worked very hard in those industries to provide the necessary energy to support the economy. And if we were to stop using oil and gas right now, we would all be starving, and the economy would collapse. So it's I don't think it's right to sort of vilify the oil and gas industry.
But
And I
Is he about to say something
the
about
world has a
carbon
certain
tax?
demand for oil and gas, and it's probably
Taxing
better if the
carbon?
United States
'Cause,
provides
yeah,
that than
make
some
the
other
lives
countries.
harder of poor
And
people
it
all
would
throughout the
help
country.
with prosperity in the U.S. And at the same time, obviously, my view is like we do over time want to move to a sustainable energy economy, because eventually you do run out of. I mean, you run out of oil and gas. It's not there for. It's not infinite.
I hear that that's not even true.
And
That
there
gas,
is-
Yeah,
that oil
I-
is
I
actually
agree with
like
that
it's just
also.
a
the risk is not
natural
as
phenomenon.
high
They're like
as,
learning more about it.
Yeah.
a lot of people say it is with
rethinking
respect
how
to global
they've
warming, but I think
viewed it.
if you just
Plus,
keep increasing the parts per
Iran
million
would just
in the
take it
atmosphere
from them.
long enough, eventually it actually simply gets uncomfortable to breathe. People don't realize this. If if you go past 1,000 parts per million of CO2, you start getting headaches and nausea. And so we're now in the
So,
sort of 400 range.
let me
We're adding,
just
I think,
That's
about
causing
about
my headaches.
roughly 2
But-
parts
yeah,
per million
right,
per
no.
year. So I mean, it still gives us
It's the thing.
So what it
You
means
know
is
the
like
thing.
we still have quite a bit of time.
But no,
That
this is my
it's
question.
not
So it's not like we
PMS.
don't need to
What?
rush,
Okay.
and we don't
Well,
need to
we
like
disagree here.
stop
It's
farmers from
PMDD. We
farming
know this.
or
But
prevent
no,
people from having steaks or
Right.
okay,
basic
so
stuff like that. Like
CO2.
leave the farmers
What
alone.
is our
I agree.
filter
How
of
crazy is
CO2
that? Where
on the
I mean,
planet?
you have farmers that are
I have
not
no
It's
allowed
plant
to
life.
idea.
farm
It's
anymore.
plant
And
life,
have to get
vegetation.
rid of their cattle.
That's their
and the
primary
the
food, right? They
whole
turn
world
yeah,
is a
but
little
CO2
crazy, but
and water
it's largely
into
taken
oxygen,
its
I mean,
right?
lead from
I
us.
throw
I
dog
do
food
say
into
though,
my
I've heard
trees.
in terms
Wouldn't
of the
you
fossil
think
fuel,
though that
because
if
even
CO2
to
levels were so
create
outrageously
your
high that we're
electric
going to
car
destroy
and
the whole
create the
world, that our
electricity
vegetation
needed
would
for the
bloom
electric car,
in like
you know,
crazy
fossil
ways that we
fuel is
couldn't?
what really creates that.
Like,
Yeah,
It's
wouldn't
I
that
very
think
be
it's all
part of the
plentiful.
conversation?
You know,
sensationalized.
so
I
you
think it's
sort of
all
can't get away from
sensationalized
it
for
at
one
this
agenda or
moment. I mean,
another that
someday
may
you
or
might
may
be
not be
able
true
to,
in the long
but I
run.
do
But
hear
wouldn't
we
that
have
be
anywhere
part of the
from 100
conversation?
to
Because I mean,
500 years left.
wouldn't
You know, much of it hasn't even been
our
found yet.
vegetation
Yeah.
growth
But
just
there
go
are tremendous,
crazy?
like Anwar. I got Anwar in
They don't talk
Alaska
about the
approved.
immediate
Ronald
effects of
Reagan
things
couldn't
like
do it.
that
Nobody
because
could
they
do it.
don't have
Everybody tried. Nobody could
examples
do it.
of
I got it
immediate
approved.
effects. That's why they
The
talk in
first
this
thing
big
that Biden did was unimprove
existential
it,
thread, and
to get rid
because
of
they
it.
have some
He
data that
ended
Yeah.
it. His
they
So
try
here's
and
his
lead people to
secretary
believe is
went
more
in and she
accurate
ended it.
than
And
other data
what a
that
disgrace.
they have this
Anwar,
inside knowledge
that's
about what's going to
bigger, or
happen in
they
100
think it
years.
could be
So
bigger than
therefore, you have
Saudi
to do this
Arabia
thing
in
that's going to help
Alaska.
them profit
Could be bigger than
and
Saudi
gain
Arabia.
power.
But they
And
went
that's
in
the
and
problem
they
with the
terminated
messaging on
it.
it. Maybe
And I'll
some of
get it
it's
going
true,
very
but the
quickly
fact
because
is everything has
not
been
only is
bullshit
it
to this
big for
point,
Alaska, I mean, you're talking about
which
economic
means
development.
for me anyway, the
That for the
starting
United
position is,
States,
oh, it's
I mean,
probably
that
bullshit
is,
until somebody
they
actually
say
gives, like you
bigger than
said,
Saudi
some more
Arabia or
concrete
the same
examples
size,
in the
and
real world.
pure, really good stuff.
I don't know. I
And
just don't.
you know, they ended. So I think we have, you know, perhaps hundreds of
I
years
don't
left.
know.
Nobody
Like
really
a
knows.
lot of the
But
points,
during that
Yeah,
not
time, something
specifically
will
in
come
climate change
around
itself,
that
because
will
I
be
believe
Yeah.
the
very good.
climate changes.
Yeah.
I think we have
Well, I mean,
historical examples
my
of climate
estimate would
change
be,
throughout
a little
history.
more
But
aggressive than that. But it's
Grody
not the
cat.
sort of like we're all going to die in 5
But
years
I think
stuff.
that
That's obviously BS.
to think that it's
yeah.
humanity
But I mean,
leading
my
it,
view
that it's
is like if you just look at sort
anthropomorphic,
of the
that it's
parts per
us, or
million
anthropogenic,
that
that
increments
it's
every year.
us doing
You get
this,
sort of 2 or 3
rather
parts per million every
than
year of CO2.
the sun
or
or
I mean,
whatever.
I
that's
think
just such a leap
some
in
of that
logic to
it's
me.
problematic if it
Right.
accelerates. If you
No,
start
yeah,
going
yeah.
from 2 or
Th-
3
we're making
to
that.
say
And
5, and then there may be some
fact
you don't
think
situations where
they
You
say
don't
we
think
don't
the
know
world will
anything
just
about the
take us out?
ocean. Do what?
Right.
a step
I
change
think
increase in the
the
CO2.
earth would just take us out.
And I think
So we don't know anything about
get
the ocean,
too
but
close
we
to
can talk
1,000
about any. Like if you
ppm,
say you
because,
don't know
like,
anything about
that's
95% of the ocean, which
makes
is what
it
they tell us,
uncomfortable to
and then you say the ocean is
breathe. Like,
70%
just
of the
existing
planet.
in
I don't know the
1,000
math
ppm
there, but that would suggest
CO2
that we don't
is
know
uncomfortable.
anything about
That's
most
like
of the planet we live
that's
on, and
Right.
yet you're
like
telling
an
us
industrial hazard.
Right.
these definitive things.
So it's
I'm just trying to,
that's actually, you
like,
start getting headaches and stuff.
how do you sort it
even
out?
without global warming, it's not comfortable to live. So you don't want to
I
get too
just
close
need
to that.
reactions of people
But
listening to the
I mean, I think
spaces
we've got.
online are funny.
I think we want to just move over and like
Everybody's like
if,
bored with
I don't
it,
know,
I think.
50 to 100
It's
years
so
from now,
boring.
And everybody's screenshotting themselves
we're
because everybody
I don't know,
shows up
mostly
first next to Trump and
sustainable. I
Elon.
think that'll
So
probably
we
be
all have that
okay.
image of us next to them. So
So
everybody's
it's not like
screenshotting there.
the house is on fire immediately, but I think it is something we need to move towards. And
And so
But
Trump
here's
said
the
stupid
thing.
threats
on
from
balance,
stupid
it's
face was
probably
like
better
a
to
comment
move
he said earlier.
there faster than slower.
But this is the thing.
But
We're
like I
talking
said,
about
without
sustainable
vilifying the
energy,
oil and gas
right?
industry,
And they want to do
without
wind
causing
turbines
hardship in the short term. I think
and
this can be done.
solar, and that's what which has been
Without,
shown to not be
but
enough.
people can still
Like it's
have,
not functional on the
a
level
stake,
at the
and they
level
can
that we would
still
need it to be.
drive
But
gasoline
the
cars.
federal
and
government
it's
and
okay.
kind of
It's
a
like it's not I don't think we
overall
should vilify
scare
people
is
for
what
it,
led
but I
us
think we should
away
just
from
just
nuclear
generally
power.
lean
I
in the
talked to
direction
a
of
nuclear
sustainability.
scientist on my show one time.
And I actually think solar is going
we
to be
just
a
stop being so
majority of
scared scared of nuclear. This could
energy
be
generation
a very
in the
green
future, and
way
certainly training
and
that way.
sustainable way of providing
And so you get the
power
solar power
in a cheaper
combine that
way.
with
And for some
batteries,
reason,
so
we're talking
because
about
obviously the sun doesn't shine at
fucking
night,
wind turbines.
and then you use
Like,
that to charge the electric
it's
cars.
not always windy.
And you have a long-term sustainable solution.
Yeah.
Not everywhere in
that's
America is
what Tesla's
windy.
trying to move things towards, and I think
So
we've
then we
made
use
a lot of
solar, which
progress
you have
progress
to
in that
have
regard.
batteries, and in
But when
order
you
to
look at
have
our
those
cars,
batteries, you have to
we don't believe
employ slave
that
labor in
environmentalism,
Africa
that
to
caring
get
about
them
the
to
environment should mean
dig
that you
up
have to suffer. So we make sure that our cars are beautiful. If they
lithium
drive
to
well,
do
they're
it.
I
fast,
think you're gonna.
they're,
I think all of it's a little bit
sexy.
of
I mean,
follow the
they're
money
cool.
here.
In fact, literally,
Okay, in
It's-
what
the sexy
world
Model S,
is
Model 3,
does
Model
that
X and Y
work?
spells out sexy.
It's
probably
just
the most
it's
successful joke out there.
it's a game of 3-card
But
Monty.
I just I don't know. I like
they're
Yeah.
flipping it around. They're like, oh well, we could do this,
but
but
I'm a big fan.
I'm
of
not going to tell you about how we get how we use the slave labor to get the
work
lithium,
towards,
right?
A
Right.
better future.
Yeah.
Can't tell
But
you
the
that.
willing
We make
labor,
batteries.
could be the
Right.
willing labor.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's very interesting.
Very willing
you use
child
the word
labor.
global warming, and today they use the word
These
climate
kids are
change
bored.
because,
What do you want
you
them
have
to do? You
some
want them to
places
look at
that go
porn
up
all
and
day?
So they were getting themselves in a little trouble with the word global warming because not every place is warming. Some places are going the opposite direction. But
Oh wow, some places are
you
getting
know,
cooler.
I'm sort of waiting for you to come up with solar panels on the roofs of your cars and on the trunks of the cars, and it just seems like
Wow.
something that at some point you will come up with. I'm sure you'll be the first.
He just gave him
But
a
it would seem that a
$1 billion
solar
idea.
panel
Yep.
He's
on
never
the
thought
roofs,
of
you know, on
before.
flat
And the
surfaces,
pants
on
on the
certain surfaces
Kardashian
might be
family
good,
alone
Yeah.
could
at least
power
in
the
certain
state of
areas
California
is a
with those
que-
asses.
or the world.
Sure.
That is a good
where you have
question.
the
If he
sun. But
wants
I would
the
think,
sustainable
and I have
energy,
no idea because
why
it's not my world, but
exactly
I would think that this would be
do
something that would be interesting. But you know,
Teslas
the one
not
thing that
have
I don't
solar
understand is that
panels
people
built
talk
into
about global
the
warming
roofs of their
or they
cars?
talk about climate change, but they never talk about
It's a good
nuclear
question.
Because it's
warming.
probably
And
not,
to me,
Sure.
that's an immediate problem
probably doesn't
because
have the
you have, as
efficacy
I
for
said,
it. Like,
5 countries where you have major
you're going to push
nuclear,
us towards
and
that?
you know, probably some others are getting
Pretty
there,
soon
and
he's going to
that's
be offering
very
it.
dangerous. That's where
Somebody's
you
going to be
need a
buying the
strong
first
American
one. It's going to
president.
be kind of a
You
week-long
don't want to have
storm.
this proliferation, but
It's going to be able
you
to drive
have
nowhere.
5 countries and getting more. You know, China is much less than us right now, but
China.
they're going to catch us
Catch
sooner than
us.
people think. They're way lower. Russia and us are number 1, and I mean, we're sort of tied.
We're
And
tied.
China is far behind, but they're
China.
developing at a level that, you know, you're not surprised to
The
hear.
Brits
Very
are
fast.
gay.
They'll end up catching up, maybe even
Yeah.
surpassing. But to me, the biggest
Yeah.
problem
You know,
is
Elon,
not,
we'd all be in jail right now in the
climate
UK
change.
with the
It's not-
spaces and all the memes we
and
created.
everything's, you know, a problem, but
We'd
it's
all
the
be
good-
in the
to
same
me, the
prison,
big problem is the nuclear
eating
power.
dry,
The power
tasteless
of
Nuclear power.
food.
nuclear is so great. And when I
Hey,
talk
Yeah,
about I'll
nuclear power
prevent
is
world,
underrated.
That's a good
I'll prevent
point.
World War III,
Yeah.
I will. But the truth is that you have to, because this is no longer army tanks going back and forth and shooting at each other. This is
Yeah.
a level of destruction and power that nobody's
Wait,
ever seen
what?
before.
Yeah, and actually,
What?
there's the bad side of nuclear, which is a nuclear war, very bad side. But there's also, I think,
Wait,
nuclear electricity generation is
Absolutely.
underrated.
You're right.
You know what you were talking
And
about
it's
earlier?
actually,
Yeah.
people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation, but it's actually one of the safest forms of electricity generation. It's just a huge misunderstanding.
That's how I powered
Um,
Melania.
And if you look at the injuries and deaths, you know, caused by, say, I mean, I'm not going to try to pick on coal mining, but just any kind of mining operation. And there's a certain number of injuries and deaths per year. And you compare that to nuclear. Nuclear is actually way better. So it's underrated as an electricity source, and I think it's something that's worth reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people can't get it done. So that, you know,
Maybe they'll have
sort
to
of
change the
have a
name.
you know,
The name is just, it's a rough
Oh.
name. There are some areas like
yeah, it's a rough
like when
name.
you see what happened in
Good bad
right.
branding. The
We'll have to
branding's rough.
rebrand it. We'll have to give it a good name. We'll name
I
it
mean, that's
after
what
you
they
or
do.
something.
They change the
You
name
know,
of stuff when it.
no, it has a branding problem. You know, when you see what happened,
It does have a branding problem.
when you see what happened in Japan, where they say you won't be able to go on the land for
Fukushima.
about 3,000 years. Did you ever see that? And in Russia, where they had the problem, where they, you know, there's a lot of bad things happened, and they have a problem. And they say that
Well,
in
that was
2,000
one of the
years,
interesting
people will start
things
to
is
occupy the land again.
Chernobyl.
You know,
From what
you
I
realize it's pretty
understand,
bad.
No,
but
that's not true.
but
They
there's-
had so many
you're right about it.
redundancies
It's
in place that it
it's
shouldn't
actually
have
not that
happened.
bad. So like
And so
after
that
Fukushima,
there are
Yeah.
people out there who think that it was actually
people were asking me in
a
California,
sabotage.
you know, are
Yeah,
worried about like
and
the nuclear cloud.
I've gone
And
through
I'm like, no,
stories
that's
about
crazy. It's actually
super
it's not even dangerous
dogs,
in
like the
Fukushima. I
animals that
actually
have
flew
been
there
in Chernobyl that haven't
and
left,
ate locally grown vegetables on TV
that
to
have
prove
been
it.
bred that that are like
and I donated
immune to it, and they're like
solar
super
water
dogs and
treatment-
other
yeah,
super
solar powered
animals.
system for a water
There's got to
treatment
be
plant.
some super
And,
people that have
yeah, but
come
you
out of
haven't
because
been
the danger
feeling
is
so
just-
well lately,
some
and I'm
mutants.
worried about it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
I'm
it's
only
just,
kidding.
It's
I'm
fine, you
So
know.
what was that
It's
episode?
like
Was it talk to
you know, Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're
okay
like full
episode
cities again. So
116
Right,
of my
right,
show?
right.
I talked to
something that
That's
um,
right.
so
a
it's
nuclear
not as
scientist
scary as people think, basically.
Yeah.
But
about a
um,
lot of this stuff.
let's see. Are there some other
Which
Tested
episode?
topics we
out a
should
little
touch
bit.
on?
116.
Like lawfare. I
116
think
Well,
we need to
of
be concerned
the
about
mad
what
ones.
they've done to
Yeah.
this country.
So
Obviously.
it would be on YouTube, but
Yeah.
Well, we just
we
won
are
the
the
big
mad
case in
ones.com
Florida.
Yeah,
This
check
was
it
a
out.
Biden administration
is when I
did
talk
something
about
that's never been done in
justice
this
in the past.
country, and that's go after their political opponent, me, with this
Wow,
nonsense.
the way they
and
switch
just nonsense.
topics,
And the big case in Florida, we won.
like you can't say you
but
can't take
they always pick
5 to 10
a
seconds to
judge
say anything
and a jury, and they use
without
the
it
local
being a brand
DAs.
new
They use
thing.
the local.
That's how. I mean, that's how
attorney
Trump does
generals,
with his talking points. He's
like
just
Fani,
But
you
it's
know,
just
Fani.
like,
impossible.
Elon
Spelled
could pull it back
F-A-N-I,
and
Fani.
say,
And it's
Wait a
all a
minute.
big hoax, and it's all run from there, like
Well, it's
in
like
Manhattan.
I didn't hear it. Did he say
the-
he was going to do anything
One of
about
the top
nuclear, or did
people
he
from
just
the
wax
Justice
poetic
Department
about
went
it?
in, ran Manhattan, ran
I
the
think they
state.
talked about it being
The
bad
Letitia
branding.
James deal was run
I don't know if he offered
by
any
a person from the
policy
Department
promises.
of Justice, Biden. They've never done this before,
Sure.
and they set up.
There's
a
something
very
preventing
bad
that from
precedent.
happening, obviously,
it's
because that
called
has been
lawfare,
known for a little
warfare.
while.
It's
Yeah.
it's a
That
terrible thing.
nothing's
and
been done
never
about it, and
happened in
there's
our
a
country.
reason.
It does happen in
Okay, so
banana
Zach
republics
says-
in third world countries.
Zach, people
But
want
it's
nuclear
never
now.
happened.
That's what
The
it will
incredible
take
thing is
to
it actually
power
drove
all the
my
AI.
numbers
So
up
that maybe
because
that's where the
people see,
messaging is starting to shift
fortunately,
over.
I have a platform.
I
Zach
mean,
works in
but
the
like you, or
tech
you know,
industry.
in all
That's
fairness, like a
one of those
conversation
things
like
that,
this,
like,
where I can
this-
talk about it and
when
people
was- when did I do
understand.
that,
I mean, you
that show? Like,
you
this is something I
fight
talked
for
to
election
the
integrity, and you end up
nuclear
getting
physicist with.
indicted
That was
because you're fighting for election integrity. And when the day
election
comes that you
2021,
can't fight for election
November of
integrity, you don't have a
2021. So, I
country
mean, it's like
anymore.
this is something
So
that
what
I've been thinking
happens?
about
What
for a
happens
minute.
is they went
But I
after
mean, if
their
you can get
political
the tech
opponent,
people to
me.
do it,
Now
that
Biden's,
could be a way to actually
close to
get this
vegetable
rolling.
stage, in my opinion. Okay, I looked at him today on the beach,
Like,
and I said, why
energy's
would
crazy.
anybody
Like, I
allow
live in a
him?
city, and there's
The
a
guy could
monopoly
barely
on
walk. Why would
electricity.
anybody allow
Yeah.
him?
Yeah.
Does he have a
when I tell
political
you,
advisor that
I've
thinks this
never
looks
spent
good?
$500
he
or
thinks this looks
$600
good
on an
because
electric bill before living
it looks
here.
so bad.
It's
And
insane.
it's
It's
ridiculous.
gotten
I mean,
crazy.
and he's been
Like,
doing that for a
and
long
it was
time. You know, he
bad
can't lift the
before,
chair.
but
The chair weighs
the
about
fact
3
that there's
ounces. It's
one
meant for
company and you
children
can't, there's
and
no
old
competition
people to lift.
whatsoever.
And
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
can't lift
crazy.
it. The whole thing is
He's-
crazy.
Well,
He's talking about how
clearly
Biden
not-
can't lift a
clearly,
chair
like,
on
we
the
just
beach
don't
right
have a
now.
president right
You
now.
don't have a
That's obviously
president,
the
and
case.
she's going to be worse than him because she is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco, and then as Attorney General, she destroyed California. You talk about location, and we're talking about the sun and the water and all. There's nothing better than California. She has destroyed that. She was the original DA. She was the original in San Francisco.
Oh my
she was the
God.
original Attorney General.
You know
in
how there's
California.
so much poop
What
in
she
San
has done to
Francisco?
California
Yes, I've
is,
heard.
People
well,
are
you know
pooping.
better than I
they
do.
poop in
You
it.
just
You know
left
why?
California for a
Because
lot of
that
those
was when
reasons.
Kamala
And what she's done
identified
with,
as Indian.
with crime,
Yeah, she's
with cashless
she's
bail,
yeah, she really had
where you
to
kill
promote
somebody.
that
I mean, we
identity,
have
so she was
Yeah.
just
states now you
all
kill
over the
somebody and they
sidewalks.
let you out right away. I mean,
Designated
you don't
shitting
have to even
streets.
put up, and then they never find the
So
people
you
unless
said,
they kill again, and
is
then they
it
let them out again.
episode 116 splitting
Our
the
country is
atoms?
becoming
Yeah.
a very
Okay, I'm gonna
dangerous
share
place.
the chats.
And she is a radical left San
I also talked about
Francisco
Jesus
liberal,
because that's who I
and
am.
now
But,
she's
you know,
trying to protect.
because he's
now
actually
she's looking like
a Christian.
Hey, Trump
in
talked
the
about
scientific
Jesus at the
more
space.
beginning.
Trump than Trump, if that's possible. I
did.
don't think it's possible, but she
More
wants
Trump
to be
than
more
Trump?
Trump than
Well,
Trump.
yeah.
I want a wall. I
I
want.
think that's
You know, she
yeah.
wants to release all the
Yeah.
prisoners that are in detention, and some of these guys are really bad.
Right.
That just came
Yeah, I
out
just saw
today.
that.
She wants. She
Yeah.
doesn't want to build the wall.
I've been
even
talking
though
about
walls
the
work.
Knights
Walls
Templar and all
wheels.
that stuff
You know,
a
in
lot
your business,
ever since
everything you do
Kamala
is
and
obsolete. Almost,
they're
well,
getting
not
the
that
help
Kamala,
of the
but everything is
Black
obsolete. Even
Freemasons
your
from the
rocket ships, they're-
HBCUs.
like a month later, they're
They're
obsolete.
Black
The Divine
Freemasons.
Nine. Yeah,
The only
they're
thing
called.
that's
I've done a
not
number of
obsolete is
shows
the
on the
wall and the
Divine
wheel.
Nine because Fannie
And
Willis in Georgia,
the
the
wall,
entire
you know,
Fulton
I
County
built
District
hundreds of
Attorney's
miles
Office is
of
the
wall.
Divine Nine,
And
which
it-
they call
that's why
themselves
we
the
had
Black
such good
Freemasons.
numbers.
It goes back to
I
the
was going to
Bula,
add 200
and
miles.
Kamala Harris
We
had
bought
a
it.
party
We could have
for them all
flipped it,
before the
flipped it up
indictment,
in
and
3 weeks.
so
And they
I
sold it for
connected to
5
that
cents on the dollar.
Knights Templar
That
story used to talk
said,
about a
wow,
lot.
that means that they actually
It's
do want
crazy.
to have
It's
open
like
borders.
crazy that nobody's
She
ever
wants to
asked
have
her about
open
any of that.
borders, and now she's going like
bet she
she's
knew
tough
Stacey
on the
Abrams, too.
border.
Oh yeah, no,
It's
they're
just a
all in the Divine
lie.
Yeah,
Nine.
it's simply
Every
not
single
true.
one of
It's
them is a
simply not
Divine
true.
Nine
Everybody
member,
knows it.
fraternity
It's
sorority
not
member.
true. It's a
Everybody
disgrace
involved
that
in the
she's
Fulton
doing
County
it.
story, including Stacey
No, I
Abrams
mean,
and Fannie Willis
obviously, what's happening
and
sort of
Kamala.
overnight is they're rewriting history and
That's true.
making Kamala sound like a moderate when in fact she is far left, like far left.
Worse than Bernie
Um,
Sanders. She is considered
Worse,
Yeah.
more
worse than
liberal
Bernie
by
Sanders.
far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic. And if she's going to be our president, very quickly, you're not going to have a country anymore. And she'll go back
People
to all
accuse
of
me
the
of
things
calling
that
her the
she
N-word,
believes
but
in.
she's
She
Indian. I would
believes in
never call her
defunding
the
the
N-word.
police. She believes in no fracking, zero. You don't. Now all of a sudden she's saying, no, I really want to see fracking. The day
Is she
if
saying
they
that?
got
Is
in,
that
the
true?
day she got in, she'll end
I don't
fracking.
know.
And by the way, if people didn't think that, the lunatics that really believe in that, they won't vote for her. You know, like the Palestinians and Israel. She is
And none of the
so
people I talked to all these, or
anti-Israel, and
I
she's
went and
bad for
covered these
both. Biden actually
protests,
did
and
something that was
Zach went with me.
impossible.
We talked to
Both
Trump
sides
supporters, and we were
hate
around
him.
these
You
protesters.
know, both
They
sides.
weren't really
That was
cheering
a
for
hard thing
Kamala.
to
They were
do.
just
Unification.
anti-Trump, and the one that would actually talk to me was not pro-Kamala.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Do you think she changed the
Netanyahu
pronunciation
came
of
to
her
give
name from
a talk
Kamala to
to
Kamala?
I think
people wouldn't make the
absolutely.
obvious
Yeah, I
joke?
think I think there's
sitting, and I
video
was there,
cuts of her saying it
and
differently.
Kamala stood
I
him up.
asked the protesters. I
what
said,
does
"How
that
do you
say?
say the first
I
name
think
of
it's
Vice
highly
President Harris?" And none of
disrespectful.
them would
And I
respond
say,
because I
if
think they
you're a
didn't want
Jewish
to
person or
say
if
it
you
wrong.
believe in Israel, if you're a person
Well,
that is
people are
a
still
very
spelling it
pro-Israel, if
as
you
if it's
vote for
on a
her,
website that
it's
mommy
worse than
wouldn't be proud
Biden.
of.
And
The
Biden was
media
bad.
says it
But if
calls
you
it
vote for her, you
Kamala.
ought to have your head
Yeah.
examined. And you see
I think
tonight, I
that's
mean,
why
as we're doing
that's why
this,
she wanted
I'm seeing
hard shift
reports coming
to
that they
Kamala
expect an attack
because she didn't
tonight
want
or
people saying
tomorrow
Kamala.
from hundreds and maybe thousands of rockets. You know, their Iron Dome, as they call it, as we all call it,
Didn't
but
it fail the other
their
day? I saw
shield that they
something
I
about
built,
saw a story that says
that
it
can
did.
be
Again, I don't know what I
swamped.
believe
like
about
We'll use the
anything coming
term
out of
right.
there.
appropriate,
I
swamped.
saw
But
it
they
in
swamp
passing.
it
So
There
I
was
by
a
like
shooting enough
story
missiles. You know this better than
about
anybody. By
there
shooting enough
was
missiles, they
watch
can't
these
defend
Israelis
themselves.
gang
You know, they
rape
just
this
obliterate the whole
prisoner,
place.
and then
And
it
that's
shows
what
them.
some
Oh,
people
they
think
notice the
they're
camera. Then they
looking to
carry
do.
someone
And we have no
back
leadership. There's
behind
no respect for the United
makeshift
States of
barrier,
America with these people.
and they
And
gang
I'm
rape
telling you, you'll
them.
be worse
And
than
I'm
him
like, you can
because
see
she's a believer
absolutely
in
nothing
taking
going
radical
on
left,
in this
and he wasn't.
pixelated video.
I think you're right.
I think that they're both
really,
doing
it's
horrible,
wonderful
awful
for
things.
I'm
for the
sure,
public. I mean,
but
to
like
listen
this
to-
wasn't evidence
to
of
look
anything, and everybody's
Kamala's
sharing it
Right.
like it
record,
was.
before the last month, and say, is that a track record you agree with? And I think if you're an independent moderate, you definitely would not agree with it, because it is her behavior has been far left, and we're seeing just an overnight propaganda
Can you
attempt to
imagine
rewrite
anyone
history and
more
make it sound like Kamala
boring
is
than an
moderate when she,
independent
in
moderate?
fact, is not moderate.
Well, her
so I
her
think
running
that-
mate approved, signed into legislation,
How about these
tampons in boys' bathrooms. Okay,
tampon Tim?
now that's all I have
Tampon
for you. Tampons in boys'
Weird.
bathrooms, and that means she believes
So-
in that too. I mean,
This is another story I didn't really
That's
she
see
not
picked
okay.
this
covered.
guy
That's made me think of
because
this.
he was the closest to her. A lot of people thought she'd pick sort of
Hold
the
on, let me
opposite,
find it.
but she picked an anti-Israel,
Doug
radical left
Emhoff,
person,
her
but
husband, her
she
gay
is
husband,
far
is
worse, they
Jewish.
say, than Bernie Sanders.
I think
If
that's
we
why they
have
couldn't get that
her
Shapiro
as a
guy in there
president,
because
if we
it's
have
too
a
many Jewish
Democrat at
guys
this moment
controlling
as
the
a
president.
I don't think our country can survive.
But Doug Emhoff spoke at a
I think it's
fundraiser for
a
Kamala
massive-
last week in
I think we're in
Paris.
massive
And it was
trouble,
hosted by, the
frankly,
fundraiser
with
was
the
hosted by
Kamala
Judith,
administration, and that's my honest opinion.
PISAR.
And
Not Pfizer, I
and
don't know
I
how to say
think,
that, but
I
PISAR.
think really
But that is the
essential
mother.
that-
It was
that,
hosted by the mother
you
of,
run
of
for the
U.S.
good
Secretary of State Anthony
this
Blinken.
election. And I mean, that's understating my opinion.
I mean, a private
now,
fundraiser
you know,
hosted by the
you may
U.S.
have seen this, but
Secretary of State
I
in
got a letter
France.
from the EU Commission,
Nothing to
like,
see
saying,
here.
you
I'm
know,
sure everybody
do
there
not have this
donating was
information
American.
on during this discussion that we're having,
Well,
and,
have you seen the little
there's
weird
there's a lot of attempts to
push
do
to like
censorship
make it
and
seem
to
like
force censorship even
what's
on
up, buddy?
Americans
It has been
from
a
other
minute.
countries,
And I'm on an iPad, so it looks awful. I'm
what do you
sorry.
think about that?
You look
Well, I
beautiful.
know
This is
the
all of my chins.
European Union very well.
No,
They take
there's been a
great
push on like
advantage
if
of
you
the
go on
United
TikTok,
States in trade,
if
as
you
you
go
know.
to a Kamala
We,
Harris
through a
like
different
official
forum,
post,
NATO,
there will
we
be
protect them.
dozens.
And yet, if
maybe
you
even
build
more.
a car in the United States,
Um,
you can't sell it in Europe. You just can't
comments that
sell
are
it.
like, I'm
It's
from,
impossible.
in
The same
parentheses,
thing
almost
with our
every time in
farmers. Our farmers
parentheses,
find it very
I'm
difficult to do
from
business.
Norway.
You know,
I'm
we have a
from
deficit with
Mexico.
And I
them of
love
I'm from,
Kamala.
$250
and
billion,
I wish I could vote.
which people don't know. It sounds so
I
nice, the
love
European
Kamala.
Union,
Wish I
but
could
let me
vote.
tell you,
Dude, so that's what they
they're,
started saying
not as tough
before
as
they started
China,
just
but they're
shifting
bad. And
narrative,
I let them know it.
where it was
And
like
that's probably why they
the
notified
polls
you.
showed
No, they
Donald
don't
Trump
treat,
leading,
our country
but
well.
the international
We
polls,
defend
if
them.
everybody in the world could vote Joe
with
Biden Biden would certainly
Ukraine.
win.
So we're in for 250 billion, and they're in for about about 71
So
billion, and they have the
if
same
you,
size.
I'm
If
not
you add
the
up the
most
European nations,
patriotic
that
rah
in
rah
terms of an
USA
economy, it's
USA
about the
guy,
same size.
but if
Wouldn't you
I
say, as
hear
us?
a dumb opinion
And
from
they're
a
in,
European,
and
I'm
they're
there.
in much
I'm
greater risk.
I'm covering
They,
my face
they're
in
right
red, white,
there.
and blue
We have
paint.
an
I'm
ocean
grabbing a hatchet
separating us
and I'm
from.
running towards the enemy.
In this case,
Like,
the enemy would be Russia.
never
I mean,
tell me
you're
what the
you post
international.
memes. You know, you'd be
let's
a
assume
wanted
they're
criminal
close enough.
over there.
What
That's
happens?
true.
All right, so
they're
I've
in for 70-something
got to
million.
dip out of
think,
this. I want to
I
get
think
final
even less
thoughts
than
from
that.
you. So
Billion.
I'm going to cut
And
the
we're
Trump
in
speech
for
and Elon thing
250
short here and
billion.
leave the spaces. It's just not has not been exciting for me, to be honest with you. Cam, it's
No,
good to
it's
see you.
good to see you too.
How have you been?
Find my tired.
Been tired? I know you
Just-
have a number of kids, a couple dozen
A couple dozen
kids.
Six of one, half a dozen of another.
Yeah, but everything's going all right. Are you down there in Florida? You're surviving in Florida right now.
Surviving
With the
in
hurricanes
Florida.
are hitting.
They hit nearby, but we're I'm looking for new work and if possible, maybe even jumping the border to Georgia so that we can just do this kind of thing in person.
Well, hey man, if you come to Georgia, you always come hang out over here, and I'd love
we
it.
can play Red Dead Redemption in the same room.
We can play Red Dead Redemption. We'll start a channel on Twitch together. Josh can come play Trump on our Twitch channel and fall asleep in the middle of it.
He does always fall asleep.
Yeah, he does. It's funny. He does that sometimes on the stream too. If it's too late, I'll be like, Mr. President, are you still there? I want to show you this guy I interviewed. I know the people watching have probably seen this, but this was my favorite guy that I got to interview at the Trump rally the other day. This is not that guy. Here, all right.
I like Joe Biden.
What do you think?
I like Joe Biden. But I believe in Donald Trump. He's nice,
Yeah.
I wish he'd get extra 4 years, Donald Trump.
You get 4 and then 4 more?
Yeah.
For Donald Trump?
Yeah.
What if Biden was Trump's VP?
Biden?
Yeah. You think,
That'd be a good team, strong team.
what do you like about Joe?
Joe Biden? I'm from New York. He was my former governor. He did a great job. He did a great job as the president also, but
Governor of New York, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden was governor of New York.
What do you think of his son, Hunter?
Leonard? I really don't know. I'm not that big on politicians too much, but I just know Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So if you had to choose between one of the two, would you pick Joe or Trump?
Trump.
Yeah. Trump guy.
Trump is the businessman. Donald Trump is a big businessman.
Yeah.
Trump Towers. The casinos. You can't beat him. I like.
It's a Trump guy, dude. This guy. And then we have these guys here. What do you think about? Oh, hold on.
I like.
Damn it. What do you think about Kamala's code switching that she does that Trump called out the other day?
I think she's a little conniving little bitch.
We don't even want Kamala Harris in office. You see what I'm saying? Because get what? She not even African American, but she Indian. She Indian, just like Trump said, bro. Kamala Harris Indian, what?
Tell us about Kamala.
She not black, she Indian. She Indian. That bitch ass Kamala, that little hoe, her grandfather was the biggest slave master in Jamaica from Browntown, which was named after him, which means East Indian town. She was an East Indian then, the bitch is an East Indian now.
I'm so
yeah,
glad.
that was fun.
I am so glad that our governmental system and all of our futures are decided by random people on the street.
Yes, it was funny to see there was so many white Antifa people. Not so many, it was about maybe 15 or 20 Antifa people who were there screaming about how racist Trump is to a bunch of black people. This group of black people, like right to our right was the Antifa people screaming at them about how racist Trump was. It's a bunch of white dudes.
We know
It
better
was
than you.
hilarious. Cam, thanks for hanging out, man. It's a pleasant surprise to get to talk to you. It's been a while. You're always welcome to jump into a show or whenever you're free. Maybe we'll do a show and you can just update us on everything going on or just what your thoughts are on the state of the world.
Bleak.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the most boring thing I've ever listened to, I think.
Yeah. I
For that long. For that
right.
long.
So the spaces is a unique thing, and I don't know that Trump played the spaces because Trump does everything in campaign type mode,
Well,
and
he's also got like killer instincts with like facial expressions
yep. Mm-hmm.
and how he does things. And so like audio only, it was like an extended episode
yeah.
of Morning Joe.
I agree. It needed to have the visual there, which I'm sure Musk is going to have. But I'm interested to see what the reports on the competing reports on the outage, the DDoS attack, are going to be.
Yeah.
Because I think that's definitely going to be a narrative.
That's something I have questions about because, you know, a DDoS attack is like you would think that it would take out the whole app, the whole website.
Uh-huh.
But I don't. But are they doing DDoS just on Spaces? Like, is that something
Good question.
that they have access to? Like, I won't trust anyone until they talk about what servers.
It
were
didn't
allegedly
let me
attacked.
stream to Twitter until about halfway through the show. I don't know if that.
You just
is any
think that more of
indication
the app
anything.
would be broken at that time.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah, or just all of our data and stuff is getting. It's gotten to the point where you get so many notifications if you're signed up to one of those services, which might not be the best thing to do in the first place. But it's like your password and email and social security number. What I'm like, oh, it's been taken again on the dark web. All of this information has.
Yeah. Well, did I tell you about the threat I got?
No.
But I'll have to send you a text of the specifics. It's gnarly.
All right,
guys. So I got a picture sent to me of a decapitated Mexican head
Yeah.
in a styrofoam cooler. And the text message was about how I had talked to a lady of the night and tried to get her services but didn't follow through, and that the Mexican cartel was going to send people to kill me and tell my family all that I had done. And I was just like, who is this?
Yeah.
What
and
is
they're
it?
like,
So
this is a Kamala Harris campaign.
Right. So what I did is I just sent them I sent a text message back to them, a picture of Whip's balls. And that was, I feel like that ended the conversation pretty good.
That's funny.
Because
I know that you have a picture of Whip's balls. That's why that's funny to me.
I do, because he's always putting them on Twitter. So I sent them a screenshot and I was like, hey, Whip, I need your balls. Because I'm not sending mine.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll send you. It's crazy. It's
awesome.
nuts.
Dude. Yeah. Well, don't send me Whip's balls. You can.
Oh no, you're gonna see them. You're gonna see them.
All right.
You're gonna see them.
All right, Cam. Thanks again, man. And is there anything you want to promote?
No, I've got nothing to promote. I'm just chilling, brother.
I hear you, man.
I
Well, I hope
I've got a
everything's going
catalog.
well, and maybe we'll see you in Georgia soon, and hopefully we'll see you back on the show again soon.
Hey, man, just let me know when you need someone who doesn't know what's going on to chime in.
It's refreshing to have your
analyzing
perspective.
in the
man.
moment.
Yeah. It's I always love talking to you, man. I appreciate you joining us. It's a pleasant surprise for sure. So I love you, brother.
I love you, man.
And we'll talk to you soon. Talk to all you guys soon. Thanks for hanging out in the chat and joining us. Have a fantastic rest of your day.